Enley was extremely introverted. She didn't like to talk, didn't like to smile, was terrified of talking to strangers, wasn't good at socializing, and especially disliked crowded places. Despite this, no one expected her life to take such a dramatic turn. After a huge argument with her parents, she pretended to apply for graduate school to reassure them, but secretly applied to non-U university. Driven by a naive determination, Enley received an invitation from EW, a leading tech company developing VR projects. The demonstration was held in an ultramodern space. Among the crowd, she unexpectedly ran into Fu Shizai, the boy she once had a crush on. He was the high school heartthrob in the eyes of many girls, including her. But the person before her was completely different. The boy with the warm smile was gone. Fu Shizai had become cold and taciturn, his eyes always maintaining an unapproachable distance. He wouldn't initiate conversation, his whole being shrouded in a layer of mist, both distant and aloof. Enley couldn't hide her surprise, even bewilderment. Just how much had time changed him. The night sky was quiet, the moon hung high, and the stars twinkled. Inside Nanhu Airport, the lights were bright and steady. It was past 2 in the morning, but there were still quite a few people coming and going. Enley stood alone, occasionally glancing at her phone screen. She was communicating with Ms. He via email. Miss Enley, please rest assured, we've invited you to experience EAW's VR, and we also hope you can film a promotional video for us. We can provide round-trip airfare and accommodation. Enley quickly agreed. Okay, I'll send the information via email tonight. But unexpectedly, the weather changed. Worried, she messaged Ms. He, I'm so sorry. My flight has been delayed for 3 hours. Could you please arrange for someone to pick me up? Ms. He enthusiastically arranged it. Okay, the driver is already on the way. Let me know when you get in the car. After getting off the plane, she still didn't see anyone. Enley asked again, Ms. He, hasn't the person picking me up arrived yet? She busied herself typing a message. Ms. He, I'm so sorry to bother you so late, but I've been waiting at the airport for an hour. If your company has other arrangements, please let me know. I can manage on my own. After typing, she checked it from beginning to end. Enley suddenly stopped. She lowered her head and sighed. Forget it, this feels a bit off. She clenched her small fists, her lips pressed tightly together in frustration. But I was clearly invited here to participate, to help them with promotion. Her thoughts were interrupted by 2 words. Hello. Following the sound, Enley suddenly met a pair of unfamiliar eyes. The newcomer had handsome features and a tall, slender figure, like a college student who hadn't yet graduated. He shyly asked, are you here for sightseeing? Before he could finish, she answered warily, no, thank you. He let out a confused ah. Enley continued, I'm waiting for someone. I'm not planning on staying at a hotel. Silence fell between them, and they looked at each other. He scratched his head awkwardly and asked again, I was wondering, could I add you on WeChat? Realizing her misunderstanding, Enley's expression became flustered. Oh, I'm sorry. A few people just came over and asked if I needed accommodation. His face lit up with a smile, and he took out his phone and asked her, It's okay, then can I add you on WeChat? Enley nodded slightly and took out her phone. Okay. Soon, a notification popped up, ding dong, free time hotel. She frowned, staring intently at her phone. This WeChat name. He cheerfully introduced himself. My name is Fu Jinchu. We can hang out sometime if you're free. At this point, she misunderstood again, feeling something was wrong, and her previously dismissed suspicion resurfaced. And you said you weren't soliciting. Immediately following, Fu Jinchu also seemingly casually asked, By the way, are you going to that EAW VR testing site? Enley looked at him warily. How did he know? Fu Jinchu turned around and muttered to himself. But that place isn't opening until the end of the month. What's she doing here now? Enley took the opportunity to slip away. When he realized, he panicked. Fu Jinchu called out after her. I'm not a bad guy. I just accidentally saw the chat log when I scanned your WeChat QR code. That testing site is right next to my school, so I guessed. Hearing this, Enley became even more wary, but she still politely replied, I didn't mean anything by it. It's just that the person picking me up has arrived. I'll be going now. Fu Jinchu took her at her word, waving goodbye innocently. Oh, okay. He honestly revealed, actually, EAW is owned by my brother. Let's hang out sometime. Enley quickly left the airport. After a moment of silence, she imagined a series of bizarre actions from this person. He opened. Why not say he opened it? Suddenly, her phone notification chimed. Ding ding. She quickly opened it to see a string of messages from Professor He. Miss Enley, I'm so sorry. I accidentally overslept and didn't see your message. The driver said he couldn't find you. I've contacted another staff member. He's near the airport and will arrive in 10 minutes. Please go outside the airport, cross the road, and wait at the bus stop opposite for 10 minutes. The license plate ends in 6636. Finally, Enley's problem was solved. Her mood brightened considerably, feeling a sense of closure. Dragging her suitcase, she walked outside. The downpour continued. Suddenly, a pair of headlights shone directly on her face. The license plate ended in 6636. Excitedly, she exclaimed, "He's here." A moment later, the man in the car slowly got out. Holding her umbrella, Enley carefully studied him. Under the black hoodie was an extremely handsome face. Her eyes glazed over for a moment, and her heart raced. He didn't say a word, reaching out to help her with her suitcase. Enley stammered, "No need. I can do it myself." Seeing his continued silence, her cheeks flushed, and she softly said, "Thank you." As he carefully placed her luggage in the trunk, his hood suddenly slipped back, revealing his handsome face. She froze, a feeling of unease settling in her heart. The more she looked at that charming face, the happier she felt. "I think I've seen my rainy day moonlight." The man coldly closed the trunk. Enley finally snapped back to reality. She took a few steps closer, holding the umbrella over his head. Shyly, she kept a slight distance. "It's raining quite heavily. Let me cover you. Let me cover you." He remained silent, tilting his head to look at her. Enley awkwardly looked away. Suddenly, he stepped forward and took the umbrella. Her expression brightened, thinking they would share it. But he put on his jacket and coldly refused. No need. Finally, she got into his car to go to the hotel. On the way, she worriedly thought, when I take a taxi, I always sit in the back and pretend to be dead, at most asking the price before getting off. Now, being so close to the driver is really uncomfortable. Not talking is even more awkward. She looked down, wiping the raindrops from her clothes. After a while, she started a conversation. "Excuse me, thank you for picking me up." The man replied with the same icy demeanor. He coldly asked where to. Startled, she gripped her phone tightly. Enley awkwardly sat up straight and replied, "Yongjin Hotel." He only uttered one word again. She looked down at the darkened screen, pondering. Tonight's encounter is truly unique. The image of Fu Jinchu's cheerful demeanor surfaced in her mind. One person as warm as fire. She glanced at him, and one person as cold as ice, but both incredibly handsome. His icy gaze darted towards her. Enley guiltily turned her face away immediately. The man announced, "We're here." She feigned a reply. "Oh, okay." He gentlemanly got out of the car and retrieved her suitcase from the trunk. Then he thoughtfully brought it to the hotel entrance. He instructed, "You can go in now." She replied cheerfully, "Okay, thank you." Enley stood there blankly. Watching his retreating figure, she worried. The rain was still falling. She hurriedly grabbed an umbrella and chased after him. The man turned around, his face expressionless. Seeing that handsome face, her heart suddenly pounded and her cheeks flushed. She awkwardly said, "The rain might not stop anytime soon." She gently handed him the umbrella. "I'll be going to YW tomorrow. You can just leave it in front of the stage, and I'll pick it up then." He remained motionless, staring fixedly at her. The atmosphere between them didn't ease. Afraid he would refuse, she placed the umbrella on the roof of the car. "Thank you for driving me here today." With that, she hurriedly ran straight into the hotel. At this moment, he tilted his head, glancing at the umbrella placed before him. Inside the hotel, Enley was panting. She curiously glanced back. By now, his car had driven away. The license plate number was easy to remember, 6636. Her mood instantly brightened. That's enough for today. Back in her hotel room, Enley took a thorough shower and sprawled out on the bed. Phew, finally I can rest. She leaned over, a fascinated expression on her face. Actually, just based on looks, I really like this type. After an unknown amount of time, she gradually drifted off to sleep. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. In her dream, she was sitting anxiously in a car. The man appeared and opened the car door. "We're here." Enley groggily got out of the car. "Where are we going to the hotel?" "Where is this?" A sudden burst of laughter startled her. "Haha, didn't expect this, did you?" It was none other than Fu Jianshu, the man she had met at the airport. He sneered, "You were so guarded at the airport, and now you've been tricked into coming here. He's the head of our criminal gang." Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at him, fearfully taking a few steps back. Then, she ran with all her might. But before long, she heard a whoosh. She stared blankly as the umbrella she had given him pierced her chest. She woke up with a jolt, sitting up in a panic. Enley breathed a sigh of relief. It was just a dream, albeit a bizarre one. Suddenly, a message notification chimed. She quickly opened it. It was from the EAW event group. "Hello everyone. Doors open at 10 a.m. We'll be there an hour early." The scene shifted to the bustling high-tea-on commercial plaza, where the venue was lively and crowded. A few young people chatted excitedly. "The decorations here are so cool. It feels so next-gen." Someone next to them quickly added, "I just walked around, and I'm going to try that cockpit and dark vehicle later." At this moment, Hee Jiameng, an EAW staff member, walked out with a cheerful expression. She spoke fluently. "Everyone can look around first and see if there are any projects you're interested in. After 10 o'clock, you can experience them yourselves. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions." Everyone responded in unison. "Okay." Enley stood in the corner playing with her phone when a low battery warning popped up. She sighed. "I forgot to charge my phone last night." She walked up to Hee Jiameng and asked, "Miss Hee, do you have a spare phone charger? My phone is dead." Hee Jiameng replied cheerfully, "Miss Enley, no need to be so formal. Just call me Jiameng. There are chargers only in the break room. It's still early. I can take you there." Hearing this, Enley was overjoyed. "Thank you so much." Hee Jiameng enthusiastically guided her. "Follow me." Upon arrival, she opened the door with her employee card. Hee Jiameng pointed ahead and instructed, "The charger is on the table. The outlet is between the table and the sofa." Enley said politely, "Thank you." Hee Jiameng still replied kindly, "Then I'll go back first. Call me if you need anything." Enley quickly plugged her phone into charge, resting her chin in her hand, looking at the message from Dang Chucky. "You're in Nanduo. How is it? Any activities today?" She suddenly complained, "Almost died last night." As soon as she finished speaking, a video call came in, startling Enley. As soon as she answered, she heard Dang Chucky's excited voice. "What? Nanduo is super safe. What do you mean you almost died?" Enley forced a smile and explained, "It was a dream." Then, her friend's tone shifted to melancholy. "Oh, I almost got a job with an annual salary of nearly $1 million today." Enley listened, completely confused. Her friend continued to lament, "But they didn't want me." Hearing this, Enley covered her mouth and laughed. Dang Chucky asked curiously, "So what did you dream about last night?" She anxiously recounted how she dreamed of being stabbed by an umbrella she had willingly lent to someone. Her friend listened, dumbfounded. An umbrella can kill someone. "Oh my God, that's a terrible dream. The umbrella you lent out became a murder weapon. Get your umbrella back quickly. It feels unsafe for a murder weapon to be in the murderer's hands." Enley shivered, imagining the indifferent man holding a blood-stained umbrella. She shook off the image. "Right, okay. You go ahead with your things, and we'll have dinner together when you're free." She stared intently at her phone, a worried thought surfacing. "I asked him to put the umbrella in front of the stage yesterday. I wonder if he'll come today." Suddenly, there was a noise in the room. It startled her. Enley curiously approached the sofa. What was that sound? The man was sleeping on the sofa. His handsome face reappeared, and she quickly recognized him. "It's him." She covered her mouth in shock. "Did he hear what I just said to Chucky?" He slowly opened his eyes. The atmosphere instantly became tense, the two staring at each other, extremely awkward. He silently took out the umbrella. He said, still expressionless, "Your umbrella." After a moment, he added, "Thank you." Enley reached out to take it. After taking the umbrella, she quickly turned to leave. "Then I'll go out now, gotta run." He suddenly spoke, "This is a folding umbrella. It can't kill anyone." His words made her freeze on the spot. Then she stiffly turned back to look at him. His expression suddenly darkened, and he said in a cold tone, "However, a straight umbrella might." Enley subconsciously asked, what kind of straight umbrella could kill someone? He looked up at her, puzzled. She explained awkwardly, maybe a certain kind, I'll just avoid them." Back at the exhibition, Enley was still unsettled, worrying. Our conversation just now was a bit scary. She recalled his icy voice and realized her efforts were futile. Buying anything wouldn't help. Enley clutched her head and screamed, filled with regret. She'd actually replied with a thanks for the heads up. All she wanted was to get on a plane and leave this place immediately. Just when she was at her wit's end, she suddenly heard a voice. Teacher Enley, Hee Jiameng, wearing exquisite makeup, smiled amiably. "I was just about to go to the break room to get you. Our boss has arrived, and the experience activities are about to begin." Enley asked, puzzled and frank, "Do employees get this excited about seeing their boss?" Hee Jiameng shyly covered her mouth. "Hee, my boss is handsome and rich. You'll see in a moment." She patted Enley's shoulder. Here he comes, look. As soon as she finished speaking, two tall, handsome men with striking appearances appeared, and everyone's eyes focused on them. EAW's boss is so handsome. What a treat. Someone even chimed in. The person next to him, although he's wearing a mask, judging by his build and aura, he's definitely handsome too. Su Qingzong waved cheerfully and introduced himself. Hello everyone, nice to meet you all. My name is Su Qingzong. Today is EAW Club's Experience Day. Our staff have undergone professional training and will provide you with the best possible support. Enley looked at the person beside him, puzzled. Why was Fu Shizai here? She turned her face away to avoid being noticed. Su Qingzong's gaze swept over her inadvertently. Then he looked at Fu Shizai's beside him. To break the ice, he announced loudly and cheerfully, the experience activities are officially starting. I hope everyone enjoys the games. Enley felt terrible and lowered her head worriedly. Seeing him reminded her of what had happened in the break room. It was so embarrassing. She should stay away from him. Enley quickly assembled her filming equipment. After finishing, she breathed a sigh of relief. Phew! She looked around and muttered to herself, the filming equipment is all set up. Why hasn't any staff come over yet? Suddenly, a voice caught her attention. Teacher Enley. Su Qingzong, with his hands in his pockets, spoke politely. We apologize for not attending to you properly yesterday. We hope you can understand. She replied softly, it's okay. He asked considerately, I saw you seem to be looking for someone just now. Did you encounter any problems? Enley pointed at a swing without hesitation. I want to try this. He patted Fu Shizai's shoulder. Time to work. Fu Shizai didn't move. Su Qingzong glanced at him and explained with a smile, we're short-staffed, you know. Enley waved her hand shyly. I could try something else first. But Fu Shizai ignored her words and turned around. He held the safety harness in his hand and brought it to her. Then he bent down and said in a detached tone, put your feet in. Seeing him so close, Enley instantly became nervous. She fastened the safety belt around her waist. The atmosphere was extremely awkward, with only the click sound breaking the silence. Fu Shizai gave a brief instruction, sit down. She carefully followed his instructions. Okay. He carefully checked her harness again. Enley noticed her feet couldn't reach the ground and felt a little worried. Standing next to the equipment, it felt quite stable, but after sitting down with her feet off the ground, her whole body had only one support point, as if she were stepping on clouds. However, the staff had all received professional training, and he was watching from the side, so there shouldn't be any problems, right? Fu Shizai crossed his arms and said, first time. Hearing the words first time, she was completely dumbfounded. For the sake of her own life, even if he was handsome, she had to ask clearly, have you never fastened this for anyone before? Fu Shizai replied coldly, no. Her face started to pale. Did you receive any training before starting this job? She asked urgently. He answered with a blank expression, training for what? Enley frowned and pointed at the rope, explaining like how to tie this safety rope to ensure maximum safety, minimize risk, and prevent accidents. He confessed, no. She gave a dry laugh, breaking out in a cold sweat. So if this safety device isn't fastened properly, will I be flung out? Fu Shizai maintained the same expression, replying concisely, not sure. He lightly touched the safety buckle at her waist, making a click-click sound. Fu Shizai looked at Enley with a blank expression. Do you want to try? She was still confused, unsure how to respond. Seeing the tense atmosphere, Su Qingzong stepped forward and patted Fu Shizai's shoulder, smoothing things over. He's joking, sis. Don't take it seriously. Then he turned to Fu Shizai. What's wrong with you? Be responsible. Don't scare people with nonsense. I'm going to check out the other games. Fu Shizai's attitude softened a little, and he added, don't worry, everything has been checked. If you get scared later, just hold on tight to this part. Enley finally felt relieved and nodded repeatedly. Then he picked up the VR headset beside her and put on her. There's a buckle at the back. Adjust the tightness yourself. He asked indifferently, is the image clear? Enley honestly replied, it's a little blurry. As soon as she finished speaking, she felt Fu Shizai's hand press down on her glasses with a mechanical click. His icy voice rang out again now. She smiled and said, it's clear now. After putting on the VR headset, the world before her eyes was isolated from reality. Enley didn't know what was happening around her and felt a little nervous. She only heard him say begin. The scene switched, and a little girl appeared in front of her, her mouth opening and closing as if she were talking. Enley exclaimed in surprise, the NPC is talking. Why can't I hear anything? The word ready appeared on the screen. Before she could react, A slight tremor ran through her surroundings. A bottomless cliff stretched out before her, and clouds and mist wreathed the mountains in the distance. She suddenly leaped downwards, a strong sense of weightlessness washing over her. Enley was so frightened that she squeezed her eyes shut for a moment, but then forced herself to open them. After just a few minutes, she adapted, and her mood became cheerful. Enley slowly took off the VR headset. She thought excitedly, "Every time I go to an amusement park, I want to try the high-altitude rides, but I don't have the guts." Although VR games are fake, they're still thrilling. Fu Shizai stepped forward to help her unbuckle the safety belt, and Enley looked up and politely said, "Thank you." She handed the VR headset back to him and asked doubtfully, "By the way, is this game silent?" I saw the character's mouth moving, but I couldn't hear anything. He wasn't sure either, so he put on himself. "Let me try." After a while, he took it off, holding the VR headset in his hand. "There's sound, but it seems like the right earphone is broken." He confirmed again, "You couldn't hear anything at all." Enley froze, and she touched her left ear in confusion. "Ah, is that so? The right earphone is broken, so there's only sound in the left ear." Her eyes widened with worry. "But my left ear is deaf since birth." Enley shrank back shyly. "I might have been too nervous just now and didn't hear clearly." He stared at her without speaking. After a while, the others gathered together, and someone said excitedly, "That was so fun. There's so many games." Enley sat quietly in the corner, listening to their chat. "But I get a little dizzy playing 3D. I feel like throwing up after playing for a while." A young man sitting near her asked, "Teacher Ian, what do you think?" She replied with a sweet smile, "Not bad, not bad." Jiaming walked forward enthusiastically. "The teachers have worked hard today. Our boss invites everyone to dinner. He wants to formally meet everyone, and it's also a farewell dinner for you all." They eagerly agreed, "Great, great. I also want to chat with the teachers." Enley, not good at socializing, weakly raised her hand and said, "I don't." Jiaming's eyes lit up, and she asked enthusiastically, "What about Teacher Ian?" Seeing this, Enley could only agree with a smile. Okay. The scene switched to a luxurious restaurant, bustling with activity. All the teachers who participated in the exhibition today were present. Enley sat in a seat near the back, with Jiaming and another girl sitting on either side of her. She pretended to be looking at her phone, but in her heart, she was screaming, as expected, "I'm still not used to this kind of gathering." The other girl called out curiously, "Jiaming." Then she leaned in and whispered, "Is that masked man next to your boss also an employee of your company?" Jiaming shook her head. "I don't know." The girl continued to ask, "Then do you have your boss's WeChat? Send it to me." Jiaming smiled brightly. "Huh, how could a small fry like me have a boss's WeChat?" Jiaming then looked at Enley, changing the subject and chatting with her. "By the way, Teacher Ian, did you see that handsome guy take off his mask today?" She replied shyly, "Today. Today, no." Suddenly, a cheer erupted. President Su is here. At this moment, Su Qingzong and Fu Shizai walked in. Su Qingzong greeted everyone politely. "I'm sorry I'm late. I had something to attend to." A young man spoke enthusiastically. "It's okay, we just arrived too." "President Su, sit here." Suddenly, his gaze swept across the room and landed on Enley, who was chatting happily with Jiaming. He looked at her and suggested, "Xiaohe, do you mind switching seats? He's been feeling unwell these past few days, and that seat is too close to the air conditioner. Let him sit further inside." Jiaming immediately stood up and replied briskly, "No problem." Behind them was an abandoned clothing store. Before Enley could react, he had already sat down beside her. She thought awkwardly, how did we suddenly end up sitting together? Su Qingzong stood among everyone and began to speak. "Thank you all for participating in EAW's experience activity. If there are any shortcomings in our hospitality, please forgive us." Dongafei, wanting to attract attention, put on a ladylike demeanor and spoke first with a bright smile. "President Su, you're too kind. We had a great time and the food was delicious. Don't forget about us next time you have an event." The surroundings were incredibly noisy, but Enley just quietly drank her water, struggling internally. Should I say hello to him? But we've only met twice, and I don't even know his name. Douglas boldly called out to him, "Hey, you the guy with the mask." He slowly took off his mask, and the people around them started whispering, "Look, look, I told you he was handsome." Enley stared intently as well. She sighed inwardly. The previous times I saw him, either the lighting was too poor, the angle was bad, or I just wasn't paying attention. Now, looking at him this close, his features are so harmonious, like he's mixed race. He's incredibly handsome. Yinli suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. The more she looked, the more familiar he seemed, as if she had seen him somewhere before. She pondered, trying hard to remember. Besides working at EAW, is he also a beauty blogger or something? Before she could recall, the waiter started serving the dishes. All the dishes have been served. Please enjoy your meal. The table was laden with a dazzling array of dishes, making Yun-Li's eyes widen. Wow, this is a feast. After this, I can go home. Suddenly, another suggestion arose, making her head spin. Yeah, since it's still early, let's go to karaoke for round 2 and take some pictures for social media. For an introvert like Yin-Li, this kind of social gathering made her very uncomfortable. Shouldn't everyone go home after dinner? Why is there a second round? Du Gafei spoke up brightly. Since Shu Zong treated us to dinner, we can't let him pay for the second round. Since we have 2 tables of people, why don't we split into 2 groups and play a game? The losing team pays. Let's play the whisper game. The 2 teams ask each other questions, and whichever team repeats the phrase most accurately wins. Yinli panicked, her voice too soft to be heard. Can I not participate? But everyone ignored her and continued planning the game. Let's start with Shu Zong. Counterclockwise, Shu Qingzong whispered something into the ear of the guy next to him. She stared intently. Counterclockwise, Yinli glanced at Fu Shizai. So, he's going to whisper to me. Should I lean my left ear closer? Thinking of her hearing impairment, she broke out in a cold sweat, quietly trying to say something. Yinli looked at him, stammering, could you? Later, Fu Shizai looked at her, puzzled. Halfway through her sentence, she hesitated and lowered her head. Then she sighed and said helplessly, never mind. The guy finally whispered the message to Fu Shizai. This sentence is a bit complicated. I'll say it slowly. Yinli quickly pricked up her ears, trying to eavesdrop. She lowered her head sadly. What should I do now? I really can't hear a single word. Suddenly, he called out to her, making her jump. Come here for a second. She panicked, not knowing what to do. Fu Xinzai stared at her intently, as if seeing through Yun-Li's anxiety. His gaze shifted to her right ear. He said slowly and clearly, come a little closer. Her eyes widened in alarm, and she instinctively reached up to touch her right ear. Why is he staring at my right ear? Did he find out? Yinli turned sideways and tentatively moved closer to him. He leaned in at the same time, stopping a few centimeters from her ear. His breath was close, his voice extremely low, perhaps wanting her to hear clearly. He recited at a steady pace. When Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva practiced deep prajnaparamita, he illuminated the 5 aggregates as empty and crossed beyond all suffering and difficulty. But she had to disappoint his kindness. Yinli didn't understand a single word. Frankly, she felt like the situation was no different from not being able to hear it all. Seeing her bewildered expression, he asked with feigned concern, did you hear clearly? She smiled and nodded vigorously. I heard clearly, but inside, she was screaming, what the hell was that? Buddhist scripture. Du Gafei, sitting next to her, asked anxiously, what's with that expression? Hurry up, I'm listening. Yinli didn't answer and, not daring to delay, immediately whispered the phrase to her. Du Gafei was also stunned after hearing it. Who came up with such a sentence? She glanced surreptitiously at Fu Xinzai. Did he discover that I can't hear in my left ear when we were playing the VR skydiving game? She thought worriedly. I just did what I was told. It's not my fault. I won't say anything. He ignored her gaze, looking down disinterestedly, killing time with his phone in one hand. The last person was He Jiaming. Under everyone's watchful eyes, she confidently recited the answer. I know. The answer is Guanyin Bodhisattva wants to eat jackfruit. A moment of silence fell over the private room before it erupted in laughter. He paused, then looked up. She finally saw his thin eyelids, the outer corners naturally upswept, giving him a slightly sharp look. Yunli asked awkwardly, did you ask me to lean closer earlier because you knew I can't hear my left ear? Fu Shizai remained silent, offering no reply. Yunli panicked slightly. Why aren't you saying anything? He looked at her and calmly replied, you haven't finished speaking. So she rephrased her question. Why did you ask me to lean closer earlier? Their eyes met, and the noisy crowd around them seemed to fall silent. Just as Yunli thought he was about to call her out, he casually said, rules. Can't let a third person hear. As soon as they entered the KTV, people started grabbing the microphones and belting out songs. The rest gathered in small groups to chat. Remember to watch my live stream. It's always best to make more friends than enemies. Yunli sat to the side, listening to the music, looking down at her phone, seemingly casually but deliberately glancing around. She felt a little disappointed. Wasn't he coming? Then, Dugafei jokingly asked, "Mr. Su, where's that handsome guy you brought earlier? He's not skipping out on the bill because he lost, is he?" Shu Qingzong replied helplessly, "He's not feeling well. Let him off the hook." She wasn't giving up, continuing to probe. Could it be his girlfriend checking up on him? I didn't even get to add him on WeChat. He didn't confirm or deny, simply saying, "That's a shame." Hearing their conversation, Yunli felt dejected. I knew he probably wouldn't come, but was it because he doesn't like socializing, or because... Suddenly, a voice called out, "Yunli." He Jiaming leaned closer to her and whispered, "Do you want to go to the restroom? I don't want to use the one in the private room." Yunli snapped back to attention. "Yeah, I'll go with you." After they finished, they were washing their hands when He Jiaming suddenly asked, "Yunli, why is your ear so red?" Hearing this, she looked in the mirror. He Jiaming looked her over, adding, "And only your right ear is red." Yunli touched her ear. She realized it was indeed red, which explained the burning sensation. She answered honestly, "I don't know." He Jiaming covered her mouth, giggling. Could it be because of that handsome guy? Before she could finish, Yunli quickly waved her hands in denial. "No way." He Jiaming didn't believe her at all, continuing to tease, "That handsome guy is like an iceberg. Nobody can get more than a few words out of him. I didn't expect him to actually flirt with someone." Yunli tried to change the subject. "Don't you know him?" She admitted honestly, "No, I was at headquarters before, so I don't come here often." She said excitedly, "He seems to be a friend of the boss. He was here helping out a few days ago. He'll be working at EAW from now on. Working with a handsome guy, I'll have something nice to look at." Her excitement quickly turned to worry. "But honestly, I'm a little worried. These rich kids usually don't do any real work." She added, "And that handsome guy seems a little hard to approach. A little intimidating." Yunli suddenly spoke up for him. "Don't you think so?" He Jiaming was surprised. She smiled and explained, Didn't Mr. Su say he wasn't feeling well? Maybe he's just quiet." He Jiaming suddenly understood. She agreed, "Oh yeah, I forgot. Let's go. Let's go back to having fun." After the gathering, she opened the door to her hotel room. The atmosphere inside was strangely silent. Yunli collapsed onto the bed, exhausted, happily hugging the blanket, wanted to take a nap. Socializing is so tiring. I don't even know why I came to the KTV. The image of Fu Shizai whispering to her flashed through her mind. Yunli's eyes snapped open, staring at the ceiling. She suddenly reached up and touched her right ear. It wasn't hot anymore. The next morning, she woke up early in the hotel and immediately checked her phone. He Jiaming asked Yunli enthusiastically, "When are you going back?" "I'll book your ticket. The other instructors left today." Yunli replied, "Jiaming, I'm not going back to Shifu for now. You don't need to book a ticket for me. I'll pay for the hotel myself." She replied that she understood. "Okay, Yunli. Hope to see you again next time." Suddenly, Yunli's name appeared on the screen, calling. She immediately answered the phone, speaking seriously. "Identify yourself first. Are you Maiko or my brother?" Yunli sighed and replied, "Your brother." "Can I talk to you now?" He suddenly switched to an irritated tone. "Yunli, aren't you being childish? You're a grown woman running away from home after arguing with mom and dad. Aren't you embarrassed?" She retorted resolutely, "I'm not falling for your taunts. Besides, if I hadn't told anyone, how would you know I ran away?" Her thoughts were clear as she explained her point of view. "I'm in my 20s, not a 3-year-old who needs permission to eat candy. Before, you wouldn't let me go to university, and now I'm in grad school, and you're still like this." Yunli recalled the argument with her father. He had furiously scolded her. "You've gotten bolder these past few years, haven't you? Pretending to study for the graduate school entrance exam at our school, but you applied to Nanwu." She cowered slightly, but still retorted resolutely, "Dad, I know forging your signature was wrong, but I got accepted into Nanwu University of Technology's graduate program." He didn't budge, forcing her to make a decision. "Choose today. Either go out and find a job, or retake the entrance exam for Shishui University. Don't even think about going anywhere else." She slammed the table and stood up, retorting loudly, "Dad, this is my life. I want to decide what I do." With that, she rebelliously slammed the door and left. He threatened, "As long as I'm still your father, I have the right to control you." Back in the present, Yunyue asked gloomily, "So when are you coming back?" "I'm about to explode, constantly getting chewed out." Yunli replied nonchalantly, "Probably not for a while." She was busy replying to He Jiaming's messages. "Thanks for your help these past few days." Yunli said lazily, "School's starting soon anyway, and I don't want to keep going back and forth. Consider getting familiar with the environment early. Besides, says, "Dang, Chucky is here too, so I can hang out with her for a few days." Yunhua was so shocked his jaw dropped. "Seriously, sis? Aren't you afraid Dad will kill you?" She pulled the SD card from the camera and replied indifferently, "I'd be killed if I went back now." Then she connected the SD card to her computer, not forgetting to appease her brother. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Chucky's here too. I'm not alone." He conceded helplessly. Fine. Keep me updated." Saying that, she shut down the computer and sighed wearily. Ugh, there's still more than half a month until school officially starts. Staying in a hotel isn't a long-term solution. I need to rent a place. Might as well edit the video now while I have time. Yunli continuously tried to psych herself up, clearing her mind. Work comes first. She propped her chin in her hand, carefully reviewing each piece of footage. Suddenly, her eyes widened in surprise. In the video, Dugafei approached Fu Shizai. "I want to play this game too. How do you play?" He didn't bother to respond, concentrating on the VR headset in his hands, and said calmly, "Please ask a staff member for assistance." She asked irritably, "Aren't you a staff member? I just saw you teaching Yunli how to play." Immediately after was the part where she went back for her camera. Sorry, I forgot my camera." This made Yunli misunderstand. I didn't know there was this part. Could he Jiaming be right? Do people who get in through the back door really not know how to work? As if compelled by some unknown force, she clicked the mouse and pulled the progress bar back a bit. Yunli paused the video at the moment Fu Shizai fastened her seatbelt. She even heard her own flustered voice. "Will I fly out if I don't wear a seatbelt?" And his teasing voice, "I don't know. Want to try?" At this moment, she felt a little more at ease, thinking, although he seemed impatient, at least he didn't seem so cold and distant. Meanwhile, Jiaming sent her a compressed file. "This is the video from yesterday's trial run. Take a look." She immediately replied, "Got it, thanks." After waiting a while, the compressed file opened. Each piece of footage was labeled with the project name, making it easy for her to find the corresponding video. When she scanned one video, Yunli paused. The person who filmed this, she thought, did he Xiaomei accidentally upload the wrong file? This wasn't a clip from her project, but a close-up of Fu Shizai's face without his mask. The shot was very natural. She could even hear the sound of the machine being calibrated. "A little higher. Please try flying left and right at this height." Yunli suddenly realized, was it accidentally recorded while they were calibrating the equipment before the opening? He wasn't even looking at the camera. A few seconds later, the perspective shifted from the air back to the ground. At the end of the video, someone seemed to shout, "Okay, AZ, that's good." Yunli froze. This scene felt so familiar. Had she seen it somewhere before? He also felt very familiar. Suddenly, she stiffened. Everything clicked into place. She quickly typed on the keyboard, pulling up a previously saved video. It was a video of the National College Robot Competition, documenting the moment Unique Team won first place in the 8th competition. He held the remote control, focused on maneuvering the robot in front of him. Awesome, it's flying. Soon, the results were announced. The winning team is Unique. The people next to him jumped up and cheered. Awesome. Is there any drone footage? I really want to see it. Coach, I want to learn this too. Then, one of them hugged him tightly. He struggled for a bit, finally bursting into laughter. "We won. Holy crap, I want to fly too." "Brothers, are there any looks requirements for playing with robots? Didn't we agree to be slackers together? How are you all so awesome? This is what innovation is. What we were doing before is nothing." Faced with everyone's praise, he just vaguely replied, "All right, that's enough. You're disgusting." They stood there happily, chattering. "Champions, we are champions." That's right, champions. At the same time, everyone upstairs started to turn their attention to him. He's also a student who skipped a grade. He's so handsome. I'm going crazy. I want to lick the screen. Yunli recalled that this was a video of the previous National College Robot Competition. It was initially posted on the East Station Community Forum and later moved to the public video area, causing a sensation. The protagonist was even discovered to be a student who skipped a grade, only 15 years old at the time of the competition. The first time I saw this video, I was just starting my first year of high school, also 15 years old. Someone like me, with mediocre grades throughout middle school, unexpectedly got into a top high school. I was introverted and quiet, and although I worked hard, my abilities were limited. I was suffocated by the top students in my class. Thinking of this, her heart stirred slightly. It was at that moment that he appeared, becoming the person I admired and wanted to emulate throughout my student years. She quickly pressed the enter key on her computer, and the image of that boy immediately appeared, the top science student in Nandu. Fu Shizai, that youthful image, along with the bright smile of the past, made her softly call out his name, Fu Shizai. Comparing it to his indifferent face as an adult, she froze. Was it really him? In a restaurant, Yunli was chatting with Deng Qiuqi. Learning that she planned to rent an apartment, Yunli suggested, renting is so troublesome. Why don't you move in with me? My roommate is super cool. Deng Qiuqi hesitated. I'm renting because filming videos and live streaming in the dorm might disturb my roommates. Living alone is more convenient. Deng Qiuqi nodded while sprinkling seasoning on her food. That's true. But the room you want to rent is right next to mine, so we can see each other anytime anyway. Deng Qiuqi asked excitedly, "Oh right, is that VR Experience Center fun? I wanted to check it out when it opened, but I forgot." Yunli happily rested her chin in her hand. "I really like it. I can play and earn money." Deng Qiuqi expressed her envy. Wow, the tears of the proletariat. Deng Qiuqi's eyes lit up, and she asked curiously, "Besides you, who else did they invite? Any at Masters I follow? Any gossip I can indulge in?" Yunli answered slowly. "Most of them are from the tech and lifestyle sections. You probably don't know them." Suddenly, Yunli remembered Fu Shizai, the man who helped her fasten her seatbelt that day. There's one more person. At this point, Yunli hesitated. She stirred her food gently with a spoon. "Qiuqi, do you remember back in high school, there was a popular video on E Station, the one, someone else's Harley Moonlight?" Deng Qiuqi immediately reacted, Oh, that genius from Shishu University of Science and Technology. When it came to handsome guys, Deng Qiuqi remembered everything clearly. "I even remember his nickname, the genius top scorer, your crush for 7 years." Deng Qiuqi chattered on. "You even put his picture on your wall like worshipping a god." Yunli's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, and she raised her hands in surrender. Okay, why are you bringing up the past?" Deng Qiuqi persisted, her eyes sparkling with amusement. "Really? You were obsessed with Fu Shizai in high school, but why bring him up suddenly? There's been no news of him for years." Yunli replied shyly, "I think I saw him." Deng Qiuqi exclaimed in surprise. "Wow. Was it at the EAW event? If he's in the media industry, his face should have been all over the internet. It's strange that there's no news at all now." Yunli shook her head. "No, he might just be a staff member. But he's so different from the Fu Shizai in my memory." Yunli recounted worriedly, Do you remember the dream I told you about on the day of the event? The person who stabbed me with an umbrella in my dream was him." Deng Qiuqi blurted out in shock. "Oh, it was him." Deng Qiuqi said suspiciously, but it sounded a bit off. That staff member was silent and indifferent, completely different from Fu Shizai back then. That someone else's Harley Moonlight. He must have gone somewhere else. You know, it sounds reasonable. Yunli frowned in agreement. Yeah. Yunli recalled her high school days. He used to be so radiant. But the last few times I saw him, he seemed a bit lonely. That moonlight seems to have burned out, melting into the silent, decaying darkness. Deng Qiuqi quickly comforted her. "Are you sure you didn't mistake him for someone else? Maybe that staff member just looks like Fu Shizai." Yunli replied sadly, "Maybe." Deng Qiuqi leaned closer and asked, "Yunli, don't tell me you still have a secret crush, admire that guy." She quickly denied it. No, I'm just curious." She immediately changed the subject. "Hey, let's eat. After dinner, do you want to go to the supermarket with me? I need to buy some daily necessities." Deng Qiuqi licked her lips and chattered excitedly. "Wow. First I helped you find an apartment and got you a discount on the agency fee, and now I have to accompany you to the supermarket. This bowl of noodles isn't enough. You'll have to treat me to a big meal afterward." Yunli happily agreed. All right, I definitely owe you a big meal." A few days later, late at night, she called Deng Qiuqi to ask her out for dinner. Deng Qiuqi asked, a little puzzled, "Aren't you moving today? Why are you still looking for food so late?" She replied on the phone, "I suddenly craved fried noodles. I was planning to brush my teeth and wash my face, but the more I thought about it, the hungrier I got." Deng Qiuqi on the other end of the phone said, "If I didn't have to work overtime today, I'd go with you. Be careful." She replied sadly, Okay. Yunli walked alone past a bar, which was very noisy. Shouts of "Are you raising fish? Drink up," mixed with giggling laughter. Good job, Down. She kind of regretted taking this street. The last time she came here was during her second exam, and she went straight across the main road. She shouldn't have come closer. Suddenly, a hand blocked her path. "Hey, little sister, all alone." She was startled and stumbled back a few steps. Two strange men stood in front of her, their faces flushed, reeking of alcohol. One of them grinned and said, "Hey." The other guy, reeking of alcohol but still trying to act sober, stopped him. "Damn, what are you doing?" Acting like a hooligan. He swayed, slurring his words. "I'm not being a hooligan. I just want to invite this beautiful lady to have a late-night snack." Yunli politely said, "Excuse me, can you move aside? My friend is waiting for me up ahead." He crossed his arms. "Fine, I'll let you pass, but you and your friend have to come back later for something to eat. It's more lively with more people. The other man laughed loudly. Ha, Daeong, you're so sleazy. He snapped, shut up. I'm just looking out for my brothers. Hearing this, Yunli could only bite her lip and endure it. He leaned in sleazily and asked, so, what do you say, little sister? She tentatively agreed, okay. Yunli ran away as fast as she could. They didn't forget to yell after her, be sure to come back. Her legs suddenly stiffened, her eyes wide with shock. It was him. Fu Shizai appeared, a cigarette between his fingers. At that moment, he was like a bright moon to Yunli. Seeing her standing motionless, the man called Daeong asked in confusion, what's wrong, little sister? Didn't you say you were going to meet your friend? Seeing him approach, she panicked and called out his name, Fu Shizai. He paused, glancing at him as he actually turned around. She felt slightly relieved. She could relax now, right? But then, he turned his face away and exhaled a puff of white smoke, leaving Yunli frozen in place. Seeing this, the guy called Daeong happily approached her. Since you're not meeting anyone, let's go get that late-night snack. She didn't give up, still looking to him for help. Fu Shizai was very indifferent. He looked at her silently for a moment. Then, after a while, his hand suddenly lifted, beckoning them over. She breathed a sigh of relief and was about to walk towards him, but Daeong's words froze her. You know him. Yunli covered her mouth in shock. She remembered her previous dream. They knew each other. He's the boss of our gang. Could he really be the leader of some gang? Fu Shizai raised his voice and asked, what are you doing? He stumbled towards him. Daeong gritted his teeth and pointed at Yunli. I wanted her to have a late-night snack with me, nothing else. He turned to her and asked, do you want to go? Yunli didn't dare to speak, just shook her head repeatedly, indicating that she didn't want to. He said slowly, she doesn't want to go. You scared her. Apologize. Hearing this, he angrily rolled up his sleeves. Apologize, my ass. Fu Shizai didn't say anything, just stared at him. Under his silent pressure, Daeong paused, his arrogance deflating. He muttered, sorry, is that okay? Daeong spoke quickly, but his words were slurred and didn't form a coherent sentence. So, sorry. Yunli, standing behind him, was also extremely nervous. Fu Shizai slowly brought the cigarette to his lips and sneered, apologize. What's there to be sorry for? He was trembling with anger. You. In the end, Daeong held back, took a deep breath, then straightened up and said firmly, please forgive me. I wasn't sober just now. I don't know why I did that. Please don't take it to heart. Yunli thought for a moment, still afraid, and only dared to mumble in response. The other young man kindly reminded him, Brother Zay, your flu hasn't cleared up yet. Don't smoke. One of the guys, Daeong, argued relentlessly. She agreed to come with me. I didn't force her. Thankfully, the other young man covered his mouth and smoothed things over with a laugh. He's had too much to drink, buddy. Don't mind him. I'll take him to sober up. With that, the young man quickly pulled Daeong away. Let's go. After they left, Yunli, still standing at the bar entrance, said gratefully, thank you. Fu Shizai exhaled a puff of smoke and asked coldly, what did you just call me? Suddenly addressed, she stammered, flustered. Huh, Fu, he repeated impassively. Zay, she blurted out, not yet realizing her mistake. He stubbed out his cigarette and stated his name flatly, Fu Shizai. He tossed the butt aside and turned to look at her, prompting her to say it again. Now, completely tongue-tied, she panicked internally. I'm usually so careful with my pronunciation. Why do I mess it up when I'm nervous? Yunli's face crumpled, on the verge of tears. She tried to explain, I didn't mispronounce your name on purpose. He brushed off his clothes and asked casually, how do you know my name? She hesitated. Yunli touched her chin, discarding option A. I searched you online as that sounded a bit like a stalker. She went with option B. I heard it from someone else. Having decided, she regained her composure. I heard people at EAW mention you. You're their colleague. Everything seemed to click into place. His wariness dissipated and his demeanor softened. What are you doing here so late? She answered honestly, I wanted to buy some fried noodles, but I think I'll just order takeout. Fu Shizai continued coolly from where? She pointed instinctively ahead, down that alley, just around the corner. Without another word, he turned and said, let's go, leaving her staring after him in surprise. Huh. She looked blankly at his retreating back. Ultimately, she happily followed. Just like that, the two walked together in silence. The shop owner gave them a cheerful farewell hoping they would return. Amidst the bustling nightlife, they walked on quietly, the atmosphere a little stiff. Enley couldn't help but overthink, wondering if things would continue like this, and whether she should say something. Meanwhile, the streets continued to play their part. Mellow, upbeat music drifted through the air, singing, "As long as you feel the same way, too." She pondered, is he friends with those two guys? They don't seem to have much in common. Fu Shizai said softly, "Go home early." She was somewhat distracted. Enley replied automatically, "Oh, okay, you too." She looked up at him, suddenly realizing what she'd said, and gave an awkward farewell. "Well, I'll be going then." Slow music began to play. "We all need the courage to believe we'll be together." She stopped in her tracks and turned abruptly. They stared at each other blankly, exchanging silent glances amidst the music and the love song's lyrics. In the crowded streets, "I can feel you." His eyes held a multitude of emotions. The music echoed her own feelings. "I admit I'm too impatient, even more afraid of missing you." The song urged her to pause. She suddenly thought, if I leave just like this might be the last time we meet. Ding ding. The notification sound went off incessantly, but she ignored it, afraid of missing her chance. Deep down, a tiny flicker of hope ignited. She thought, I hope we can meet again next time. Enley turned back, determined not to hesitate any longer. But when she spoke, she was still quite nervous. Could I get your contact information? Fu Shizai looked up, not answering immediately. She instinctively avoided his gaze, forcing herself to find an excuse. "I heard you had the flu. I know a really effective cold medicine brand I wanted to recommend." Her flustered appearance was quite endearing, a classic example of a socially awkward person trying for a second time to get someone's contact information. He declined. "Thank you, but no need. I hope my friend's behavior didn't bother you." Silence hung in the air. She hadn't expected him to refuse. He was so close, yet felt so far away. She was completely stunned. Since that was the case, she couldn't impose any further. She murmured, "It's okay. Forget it then. I hope your flu gets better soon. I'll be going now." She feigned composure as she finished speaking and turned to leave. He stood there, watching her walk safely home. Inside her apartment building, in her home, she collapsed into a chair, burying her face in a pillow, mortified. What'd I just do? She thought, embarrassed. So embarrassing, so pathetic. Just then, her stomach growled loudly at the most inopportune moment. She sighed heavily, giving up the struggle entirely. Embarrassed or not, I have to eat. She had to eat the fried noodles she'd gone to such lengths to buy. Suddenly, a ding notification sound reminded her of something. "I've been so busy lately, I almost forgot about this." She muttered to herself, maybe I should do a food live stream to distract myself. She tidied up her appearance. Okay, face is fine, camera angle is good. So, she started her live stream. Enley smiled and greeted the viewers on screen. "Good evening, everyone." The comments quickly flooded in. "Wow, why the sudden live stream? Is this a belated 500,000 follower bonus? Baby, did you change your background? Can we look forward to a room tour?" Everyone chatted excitedly, and among them, a perceptive person commented, "Why does you seem so restrained today?" While eating, she replied, it's a new place. I can film a tour after I'm done with my work." Of course, mixed in with the concerned comments were also, "Why does you seem so restrained today? No way, you must be seeing things." When she accidentally mispronounced a word, everyone was amused and started teasing her. Haha, it's restrained, not some other word. The climax came when someone sent a rocket, begging them to stop, saying their little Yu was about to crumble. Someone else was even more direct, asking, "Streamer, why can't you distinguish between retroflex and non-retroflex consonants?" Suddenly, his words echoed in her mind. "Straighten your tongue and say it again." She struggled to maintain her smile, while her inner thoughts were in turmoil. Oh no, why am I thinking of him again? Forget it, forget it. Enley stubbornly retorted, "No way. I definitely pronounced that word clearly. Are you guys hearing things?" Her stubborn rebuttal in the comments appeared especially endearing. The viewers immediately started teasing her with difficult requests. All right, little cutie, sweetheart. Taxi driver. For is 4, 10 is 10, 14 is 14, 40 is 40. Make a sentence with actually. She recited a few, trying to muddle through. Taxi driver. I already said I pronounced it clearly. You can't say it like that. There's a speed requirement too. Pass. This lively exchange quickly made her forget her previous embarrassment. She pouted and said, "Why are you guys like this? I'm not doing tongue twisters anymore. Meanwhile, in the car, Shu Qing-song sighed. It's so late, and Grandpa is still waiting for me to bring him food. Fu Shizai responded indifferently. MHM, he asked, so are you going back to North Maple Forest, or are you coming with me? He gave his answer without hesitation. I'm not going. He seemed to understand something and couldn't help but sigh. I can't believe a girl actually likes someone with your personality. I've received several messages these past few days, all asking for your WeChat. He accidentally tapped a recommended link, and by the time he realized it, it was too late. I wanted to turn off the navigation. How did I press the wrong button? He started rambling again. Last time I followed a vlogger to EAW for a promotion, I pressed several wrong buttons. Her live stream appeared on the screen. She was acting coquettishly. Let's play a different game. My tongue is getting tied up. The hand that was about to turn off the screen paused. Shu Qing-song recognized her immediately. Yeah. Then he asked, A's, isn't that the girl who was sitting next to you the other day? He glanced briefly at the screen. On the screen, she seemed to be thinking about something. Actually, the actual discount. He commented unknowingly. Why does it feel like she's calling your name? At the same time, she finished her sentence. He looks like a wolf, but actually, Dot is a dog. Hearing this, he laughed. Ha, you got insulted. She called you a dog. He remained silent, while after saying this, she froze, quickly explaining, that sentence didn't mean anything. I was just giving an example. Let's play a different game. After finishing her food, the live stream ended. At the same time, she breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, live streaming is so tiring. She recalled her slip of the tongue and felt embarrassed. Why did I say that just now? It's like I was talking behind someone's back. He actually had the right to refuse. Hugging her knees, she consoled herself gloomily. But someone who's not interested in me probably wouldn't watch my live stream, right? He shouldn't have noticed. In the recorded video, she was making a cake, from pouring the batter to baking and taking out of the oven. Finally, she rolled and decorated the cake. After completing all the steps, she thought, although it's barely considered repaying a personal favor, a few days of sadness is enough. So she quickly cheered up and said excitedly, next week's video is done. As she hummed a tune and put the cake away, her phone rang. Ring, ring, ring. She thought, is Chucky not working overtime today? Dang Chiochi immediately scolded her. Can you not curse me with overtime the moment you open your mouth? Anyway, I'm not working overtime today. My roommate and I just left EAW and want to grab dinner with you. She hesitated. But you're with your friend. Her social anxiety was clearly acting up. The girl kept whispering and acting coquettishly in her ear, leaving her helpless. Please, Lilai, my dear Lilai, my best Lilai, my roommate is super nice, okay? Just fulfill this small wish of an overworked dog. And once again, she couldn't resist Deng Chiochi's persistent pestering. Of course, she ultimately lost to Deng Chiochi's signature coquettish tactics. She thought helplessly. In the end, I still agreed. She immediately messaged, I've arrived, which table are you at? The girl replied immediately, so fast. We just got her number. Wait a moment, I'll come get you. She saw Deng Chiochi waving to her up ahead, calling out bestie. She casually replied, it's just a short walk. Why did you come out? Deng Chiochi smiled slightly and said, I came out to give you a heads up. I knew if I told you on the phone, you definitely wouldn't come. She was a little confused, then heard Deng Chiochi say, blushing, my roommate brought two of her relatives, and they're super handsome. Enley, you my best friend? How could I forget you for something like this? Enley, considering their close relationship and the number of people inside, hesitantly asked, knowing this would be an absolute nightmare for someone with social anxiety. Deng Chiochi tried to reassure her, there aren't many people, just 4 including me. But fear overwhelmed her, and she firmly refused, no, I'm leaving. Let's reschedule. But just as she was about to leave, Deng Chiochi grabbed her bag. Deng Chiochi practically begged her to stay. You'll regret it if you don't go. They're really super handsome. Even if you don't want to talk, you could just feast your eyes. When have I ever steered you wrong? Besides, what if you hit it off with one of them? In terms of looks, I definitely won't disappoint you, right? What do you think? Faced with Deng Chiochi's rapid-fire words, she couldn't get a word in edgewise, and for a moment, she was in a daze, unsure whether to leave or stay. In the end, Deng Chiochi won. Deng Chiochi excitedly linked arms with her, sharing all the details. Today I'm hanging out with my roommate and her younger brother, and my roommate's uncle happens to work at EAW as some kind of equipment engineer. Since we all know each other, we'll ask her uncle to join us later. Just as she expected, she ended up going, feeling defeated and resigned to fate. She comforted herself. Okay, just 3 strangers, much less than the EAW gatherings, just play dead, eat, and leave. They arrived quickly, and Deng Chiochi cheerfully called out, "Hee, my darling is here." Someone greeted her warmly. "You're Li, right? I've heard Deng Qiuqi mention you." She awkwardly replied, "Hello." Her gaze suddenly met the eyes of the other people in the room, and she was slightly startled. It was Fu Shizai and Fu Jingqiu. Like her, he was clearly surprised, just quietly looking at her. She sighed inwardly. "Can someone tell me what's going on?" He quickly looked away. Deng Qiuqi earnestly introduced, "Li, this is my roommate and colleague, Xia Kongqing." She was vaguely pulled to sit down, responding with a muffled Before Deng Qiuqi could introduce him, he pointed to himself and tentatively asked, "Do you remember me? Do you remember me?" Xia Kongqing and Deng Qiuqi asked simultaneously, "What's wrong? Do you two know each other?" She then began to recount her first day in Nanwu, quickly summarizing the whole story according to the facts as she remembered them. Deng Qiuqi exclaimed in amazement, "Wow, what a coincidence." She continued, "I thought he was a scammer that day." To her surprise, he awkwardly explained, "After I went back that day, I sent Qing Song a WeChat message asking if their shop was hiring promoters because someone had been waiting at the airport for a long time. Then he asked me to call you to pick someone up." Hearing the strange appellation of uncle, she weakly raised her hand and asked, "Excuse me, but your uncle is?" He didn't hide it, pointing to Fu Shizai. So, they were around the same age, but they were uncle and nephew. He then asked, "Then you two must have met before, right?" He stared at her coldly. Enley was slightly taken aback. "Huh?" She deliberately avoided his gaze and vaguely replied, yes, we've met before." Meanwhile, in a hidden corner, she kept tugging at Deng Qiuqi's sleeve, hinting for her help. She silently added in her mind, "More than just met, my WeChat friend request was also rejected." Deng Qiuqi received the SOS signal and spoke up to break the awkward silence, ending the unwelcome conversation. "Let's eat, everyone. We can chat while we eat." Deng Qiuqi skillfully changed the subject. "By the way, I remember your younger brother is also a student at Nanjing University of Technology, right?" Li is taking the postgraduate entrance exam for Nanjing University of Technology. "So you guys are alumni." Because he was talking while eating, his eating manners were unsightly. "Wow, so hot, so hot. What a coincidence, alumni." She reminded him that he should call her senior. Fu Jingqiu, while calling out, "Uncle, give me some water," continued the conversation. Oh, I'm going back to school tomorrow." "So senior, are you also registering tomorrow?" "Our school seems to have a unified time. Let's go together." Then, he silently pushed the water over to her. She continued, "Since you're driving Jingqiu to school anyway, right? Then Lily can take your car." A faint blush crept onto her face. Enley refused. "No need." Then she choked, cough. He said with interest, "Sure, I can even help carry your luggage." Deng Qiuqi chatted happily. "That's great. We don't have to spend money or effort. We'll have to treat you to dinner later." For a moment, she didn't notice Enley needing water, fumbling around in a hurry. Xia Kongqing casually said, "Don't mind him. He's as strong as an ox, but has nowhere to use his strength." He couldn't refute, only managing a bright smile. He silently pushed the glass of water towards her. She glanced at this gesture. He acted as if nothing had happened. Fu Jingqiu generously said, "Sure, let's go together. You have nothing to do anyway, so just treat it as practice." Then he sought his agreement. "Is that okay?" Fu Shizai lifted his eyelids slightly and glanced at her. Enley softly said, "Thank you." He replied, It was unclear who he was responding to. She thought to herself that before she could even refuse, he had been dragged into this as well. He still had that same expression, as if the sky could fall and he wouldn't be fazed. It was impossible to tell if he was willing or not. The phone next to them rang again. Ding, ding, ding. Deng Qiuqi was typing rapidly, a joyful expression on her face. Xia Kongqing asked pointedly, "Yo, who are you messaging? You seem so happy." The girl answered truthfully, "I ran into a handsome guy on the subway a few days ago. Totally my type. So I added him on WeChat. He just asked me to go to the movies next week." Her face beaming, she sighed, "So nice. I got someone's WeChat before too, but he turned out to be a jerk." Another girl chimed in, "Oh, tell us about it." She poked at the rice in her bowl with her chopsticks absent-mindedly, dejectedly recalling, "Back in college, my younger brother and his friend got into trouble and the school called for parents. That jerk's older brother was her friend's older brother. I thought he was handsome at the time, so I couldn't resist asking for his contact information." The phrases handsome and asking for contact information sounded extremely familiar, swirling in her mind. She couldn't help but think that someone was listening, someone was seeing themselves reflected in the story. Fu Jingqiu quickly reacted, asking, "Tang Ji's older brother." She admitted, yeah, that guy was ridiculous. He said he changed his girlfriends every day and just happened to need one this month. So if I was willing, he'd take me. She waved her hand, changing the subject. Oh, forget it, forget it. Why am I the only one talking? What about you guys? Have you ever asked for someone's WeChat? A guy gave a dry laugh and replied, I have. But I gave the wrong number and they thought I was running a pyramid scheme. Xia Kongqing took the opportunity to tease him. Seriously, you messed that up. No wonder you're single. Are you sure you're not actually running a pyramid scheme? After finishing with him, she turned to the next target. All right, next. Enley looked at everyone blankly. The implication clear. It was her turn. She had to reply, I have. She tucked her hair behind her ear unnaturally, trying to appear casual, but her movements were still stiff. The gossipy girl asked when, wow, I can't believe you'd actually ask for someone's WeChat. She answered truthfully a while ago. The girl pressed, so did you get it? His face remained as calm as ever. She softly said, he didn't give it to me. The two girls gasped in unison. She waved her hand, pretending to be strong. It's fine. But through Xia Kongqing's sympathetic lens, her forced smile looked utterly pitiful. She then consoled her. Maybe that guy had never had such a pretty girl ask for his WeChat before and wanted to act cool. He's probably regretting it to death at home right now. She also meaningfully tugged on Fu Jingchu's sleeve. He played along, yeah, or maybe he has a girlfriend. The conversation shifted and the baton of sympathy was passed to the next person. He winked at him as he spoke. You gotta act like a senior. She lowered her head in embarrassment, internally wailing, help. How did this happen? She screamed internally, making the rejected person comfort the rejected person. What kind of torture is this? Fu Shizai asked, bewildered. What are you talking about? The guy whispered, you don't even know how to comfort someone. Just say. He raised an eyebrow slightly, listening to Fu Jingchu's outrageous suggestion. The guy offered advice. He could also be gay. After his guidance, he continued as if nothing had happened. Okay, your turn. You should say something to comfort her too. He remained silent, genuinely unsure of what to say. But as time passed, her head dipped lower and lower, almost parallel to the ground, clearly embarrassed to death. Outrageous words like gay, has a girlfriend, and acting cool swirled in her mind. Enley was utterly mortified, burying her face in her hands, thinking sadly, thanks now, I want to die even more. Fu Jingchu was completely oblivious to this tragic scene. Seeing his uncle's stubborn silence, he said impatiently, Uncle, I already gave you the standard answers. Why aren't you saying anything? Uncle. She quickly waved her hands and said, I'm really fine. It's not the first time I've asked for someone's WeChat, really. Xia Kongqing, following her lead, joked, why don't you ask for my WeChat now? I promise I won't reject you. She immediately agreed. Okay. Fu Jingchu joined in the fun. What about me? What about me? He jokingly said in a serious tone, you can't use the homestay's WeChat ID this time. Deng Xiuqi readily replied, of course not. I'll scan yours, Xiuqi. After saying that, he nudged Fu Shizai's shoulder and said, Uncle, why are you being so antisocial? The two of them ganged up on him. I was stunned just now. I thought my uncle was going to share a table with us. Fu Jingchu pretended not to know him and joined in the teasing. Hey dude, why don't you switch tables? We're not used to sitting with strangers. Fu Shizai had no choice but to hand over his phone with a deadpan expression. Deng Xiuqi took his phone, looking like a worried mother of an older child. That's more like it. Don't always be a loner. Isn't it good to make more friends? Then she helped him expand his network. My uncle works at EAW. If any of you beautiful ladies want to visit, just let him know in advance. Enley hesitated slightly. I was just rejected not long ago, so this might not include me. Deng Xiuqi misunderstood and asked, not good enough. I'll scan for you. Enley denied, no. But Deng Xiuqi had already scanned the code and replied done. Fu Shizai numbly took his phone back. Enley peeked at him, thinking, as expected, she really added him. She then acted coyly, Lili, come stay at my place tonight. We haven't seen each other in a while, and Xia also wants to have a late-night chat. Enley immediately agreed, okay. The next problem was quickly solved. All right, we're almost out of shower gel and toilet paper. Let's go to the supermarket after dinner to walk off some of the food. Now, they were in the supermarket. Suddenly, Enley fell a gaze on her. Xia Kongqing said, Fu Jingchu ran off with the shopping cart. There's nowhere to put the stuff. Enley took the opportunity to ask for help. Uncle, could you help put these things in the cart? Enley considerately said, it's okay. It's not heavy. Fu Shizai said, give them to me. Enley politely replied, oh, okay. Thank you. Then he walked away indifferently. Deng Xiuqi carefully observed for a moment and softly asked, Deng is my bestie's uncle and ice prince. He's like an air conditioner, but why does he seem so obedient? Yunli naturally heard the contradictory statement, thinking, obedient. The image of Fu Shizai's acting docile appeared in her mind, and she couldn't help but think. Exactly. Back in the car, Fu Jingqiu complained, Uncle, why did you ignore Tang Jihe and his sister just now? Luckily, I explained things for you. Then he pulled Yunli into it, frankly saying, Lili, did my uncle give you the cold shoulder when he picked you up last time? Just tell us. We'll stick up for you. Yunli waved her hand and replied, not at all. He asked again, then did my uncle smile at you? The answer was the same, no. Fu Jingqiu sighed deeply and advised, that's why I'm saying, Uncle, you can't be like this. Living like this, you're definitely going to get beaten up. You have to learn to be enthusiastic, gentle, and friendly to people. Fu Shizai gently pushed him away and replied, Yunli observed carefully, amazed. He actually listened. Suddenly, Fu Shizai unbuckled Fu Jingqiu's seatbelt and said coldly, get out. Fu Jingqiu asked in confusion, why, Uncle? Did you forget? I'm going to Grandpa's house with you today, right? Fu Shizai honestly replied, I can't learn it. I'm afraid of getting beaten up and dragging you down with me. Fu Jingqiu, indignant but not daring to speak, silently fastened his seatbelt. Yunli couldn't help but laugh. Fu Jingqiu obediently said, I was wrong, I'll shut up. He inadvertently glanced at Yunli, who was laughing heartily in the back seat. Xia Kongqing was almost dying of laughter. Provoking Uncle is like kicking a steel plate. Back at the apartment, the three of them chatted and laughed. At this rate, they could talk all night. Deng Xiuqi sighed wistfully. It's been so long since we've chatted like this. I wish we could just stay in school forever. I don't want to work. The food was quickly devoured. Deng Xiuqi asked, Li, can you open this for me? My hands are too slippery. Then she asked Xia Kongqing, speaking of which, do your cousin and brother have girlfriends? Xia Kongqing replied, my cousin doesn't. I'm not sure about my brother. I think he broke up with someone recently. Yunli held a bag of pastries, absent-mindedly thinking. It's so strange, even though it has nothing to do with me. Hearing that he's single makes me a little happy. Xia Kongqing teased, what? Got your eye on someone? The topic shifted to Yunli. What about you, Li? If you have someone you like, you must tell me, and I'll play matchmaker. Yunli thought vaguely, someone I like. The answer seemed clear already. Deng Xiuqi bluntly pointed out, come on, one's too cold and the other's too dense. I'll just focus on pursuing my subway hottie. A direct approach is the only way to go. Xia Kongqing laughed and praised. Girl, your summarizing skills are on point. She even gave a thumbs up for emphasis. Meanwhile, Yunli was still lost in her thoughts, unable to follow their conversation. She hesitated. I don't want to say I like Fu Shizai, but I don't want to lie either. Being able to add him on WeChat, having a way to contact him, is already good enough. She consoled herself. Suddenly, Deng Xiuqi called out, Li, and playfully poked her cheek, trying to bring her back to reality. Deng Xiuqi asked with concern, didn't you say you were looking for a job? How's that going? Have you decided what you want to do? Yunli replied, not yet. Actually, I'm still struggling with whether to be a full-time content creator or find a stable job. She confessed her dilemma. Xia Kongqing suggested, actually, the two aren't mutually exclusive. You could find a less demanding job and make videos in your spare time. I remember my friend's company is hiring. I'll send you the information later, and if you're interested, you can send them your resume. Yunli thanked her sincerely. Okay, thanks. We've been chatting for so long, I almost lost track of time. Deng Xiuqi yawned and stretched. I'm a little sleepy. Why don't we call a night and chat again tomorrow? Xia Kongqing agreed. It's getting late. Let's all go back to our rooms and sleep. Suddenly, Xia Kongqing stopped Yunli and said, hey, Li, I just saw my brother sent me a WeChat message. He said you left the bag you brought today in my cousin's car. I told him to bring it over to you. Yunli casually replied, it's okay. The bag has Swiss rolls in it. I brought them for you guys. They can have some if they don't mind. Xia Kongqing didn't insist. Okay, thanks. I'll let them know. Deng Xiuqi had been waiting for this moment. She excitedly said, let's go to sleep. Good night. After Deng Xiuqi fell asleep, the faint light from Yunli's phone illuminated her face. Yunli hesitantly looked at her phone for a long time. Fu Shizai's account was on the screen. She thought sentimentally, I couldn't even add him when I tried, but somehow I'm connected with him now. She scrolled through his profile several times. Of course, it's as boring as he is, she commented objectively. His Moments was completely empty, with only a few posts sharing academic papers, which was actually very much in line with his personality. Yunli hesitated. Should I say something? Or maybe send a greeting sticker? Her fingers continued to fly across the screen. Suddenly, she felt Deng Chochi toss and turn. Doing something sneaky in the middle of the night, her heart pounded like a drum. She awkwardly flipped her phone over, screen down, suppressing her excitement, wondering, did Chochi notice? She glanced back and saw Deng Chochi sleeping soundly and snoring. She breathed a sigh of relief. Phew! Suddenly, her phone vibrated. Enley stared at the screen in disbelief. In her panic, she accidentally sent a suggestive sticker. "Marry me." Fu Shizai replied quickly, sending a question mark in disbelief. A new day began in the apartment. Enley walked out in a daze. Deng Chochi, who was playing a game, asked, "Oh, you're awake. What time did you go to bed last night?" Jia has already left. She guessed, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock. Seeing her sit down with sleepy eyes, Deng Chochi said, "Why are you just sitting there? Go brush your teeth, wash your face, and eat something. It's all on the table." As soon as she sat down, she sighed dramatically. Chochi asked with concern, "What's wrong?" Sighing as soon as you wake up. Did you have trouble sleeping in a different bed or have a nightmare? Didn't sleep well. She just shook her head, dark circles under her eyes, keeping them tightly shut. After a while, she inexplicably nodded, her mind a mess. She started to pour out her woes. "Chochi, listen, last night before I went to sleep, I accidentally sent Jiajia's brother a sticker." Chochi still didn't understand. "So, it's just a sticker." She held out her phone screen. Look, the screen displayed the late-night chat log, starting with the "B, my wife" sticker. After he replied with a question mark, she responded like anyone would, "Oops, my hand slipped, sorry." This morning, he replied concisely with an MM. She was crying inside, but still anxious, although I explained right after I sent it. She still couldn't help but recall the awkward scene from last night. After accidentally sending it, she panicked. She cried internally, "Ugh, I sent the wrong one, but why did it have to be that sticker?" After sorting out what had just happened, she kept staring at her phone, but he didn't reply, because she kept thinking about it. She didn't sleep well all night. When she woke up, she found that he had replied with a simple MM early in the morning. I don't even know if he believes me. She thought miserably. Suddenly, Chochi burst out laughing. "Haha, Lily, you're so funny. I'm dying of laughter." She was wallowing in despair and said seriously, "Stop laughing. Don't you think this is a big deal?" Then she held her head in her hands, lamenting the various possibilities. Will he think I'm really weird? Or think I'm a pervert and tell me to stay away from him? She even overthought it to the point of asking herself, will he think I'm subtly flirting with him? Oh, I want to die. She buried her face deep in her pillow, unable to bear the embarrassment. Deng Chochi, stifling a laugh, tried to comfort her. "It's not that serious, is it? You already explained it to him." But Enley was still worried, hesitantly saying, But haven't I offended an elder?" Deng Chochi turned her over, looked directly into her eyes, and reassured her, "Don't worry, he'll definitely forgive you. Besides, he already replied, okay, right? That means he accepted it and understood your explanation. It's really fine. Don't be so upset." After saying this, she turned back to her beloved phone. Trying to change the subject, Deng Chochi asked, "All right, when did you add him on WeChat?" "There were so many people yesterday, I didn't have a chance to ask." Unintentionally, she'd rubbed salt into the wound, landing another critical hit. After a long silence, Deng Chochi asked, "Why aren't you saying anything?" Enley whispered, "Don't tell Jia about this, okay?" Deng Chochi grew even more curious. "Why so secretive?" Enley confessed, "The WeChat I asked for was her uncle's." Shocked, Deng Chochi yelled, "Ah." Without a second thought, she threw her phone aside and exclaimed, then quickly switched into strategist mode, analyzing the situation nonstop. "No way. No wonder I felt something was off with you last night. So there's this connection between you two. But think about it. You did add him on WeChat in the end. He's not only single, but also Jiajia's uncle. The timing, the place, the people, you've got it all. You two have a chance." Deng Chochi nodded in self-satisfaction, concluding her analysis. Enley said dejectedly, "What chance? He already rejected me." Deng Chochi offered some philosophical words. "So what if he rejected your WeChat request? He can't reject everyone who asks, can he? Based on my experience, guys like Jiajia's uncle, they seem cold and distant at first, but once you win them over, they'll be completely devoted to you until death do you part. That's how it always goes in novels and movies." Enley didn't hear a word, letting everything go in one ear and out the other. She buried her head in her pillow, allowing Deng Qiuqi to do as she pleased, not even noticing when Deng Qiuqi took her phone. Deng Qiuqi was engrossed in studying the chat log, while Yunli was completely out of it. Suddenly, Deng Qiuqi had a bright idea, a sly smile spreading across her face. Then, Deng Qiuqi started her mischief, saying, "Yunli, look, isn't this much better?" Yunli lifted her head in confusion. Huh? The middle part of the conversation was covered, leaving only "marry me" and his reply. Okay, was enough to make anyone's heart flutter, and a light blush quickly crept onto Yunli's face. Deng Qiuqi teased knowingly, "Ooh, blushing are we, Yunli?" 2 a.m. A cute little drama was unfolding. Yunli stared intently at her phone. No reply at 2 a.m. Still no reply. 3 a.m. Still no reply. Yunli was utterly defeated. She waited and waited, like a lovesick wife waiting for her husband's return. 3 a.m. Yunli decisively rolled over, deciding sleep, thinking miserably, just sleep. Worst case scenario, I'll die of embarrassment. Everyone dies eventually. Might as well be from embarrassment. So it didn't matter anymore. The truth was, even at 4 a.m., Yunli hadn't escaped the awkward situation. She muttered with a blank expression, "I really wasn't trying to flirt with him. Will he believe me? Will anyone in Shirley Xanadu believe me?" Fu Jingqiu, true to his word, came to help her move. He chattered nonstop. "Wow, sisterly, this complex is huge. The landscaping isn't great though, but the security is super strict. They said outside cars aren't allowed in. Otherwise, I would have had my uncle drive to the underground parking lot. All right, sisterly, are you planning to stay at the university for a while before moving back in?" Yunli explained, "Yeah, I need to film videos, and I'm afraid of disturbing my roommates." From a distance, he shouted, "Uncle, we're over here." He leaned against the car, his expression indifferent. Her mind was a mess, and she couldn't even react. She thought, should I say hello? The boy beside her had already organized her things. "Uncle, can you open the trunk?" She was still hesitant, thinking, but we're not close enough to call him by his name, and just a plain hello seems too distant. Finally, she said, "Hello, Uncle." The boy beside her urgently asked for help. "This is heavy. Can you help me carry it, Uncle?" He paused for a moment as he helped her with her luggage, casually replying, "Yeah, hello." She blushed involuntarily, her thoughts racing. Why did I call him Uncle? We're not even related. The three of them blended into the crowd, walking onto the Nanjing University of Science and Technology campus. She silently thanked them. If it weren't for their help, she didn't know how she would have moved all this luggage. Maybe she should treat them to a meal later. Suddenly, she heard someone say, "Dude, you've gotten in better shape over the summer break." He immediately replied, "Really? Then all that time I spent at the gym this summer wasn't wasted." She marveled inwardly that they could even chat about this. Extroverted people were terrifying. Their social skills were off the charts. She looked at him hesitantly, her mind racing. How should I bring up treating them to dinner? She glanced at his phone, still hesitant. Yunli thought absent-mindedly, "I've never done anything like this." He kept looking at his phone. Was he busy? Didn't he have time to eat? He suddenly looked up at her, and she guiltily averted her gaze. So she unintentionally overheard some idle chatter, such as, "I heard this school has a lot of handsome guys. If only I could have a campus romance during college, and I'm dying of heat. Why haven't we reached the dorm yet?" She listened attentively, learning. Suddenly, Fu Shizai asked, "What's your name?" She froze, "Huh?" He repeated, "Your name?" She awkwardly replied, "Oh, my name is Yunli." She even accidentally bit her lower lip. Ow. She added out of habit, "Li," as in centimeter, then muttered, "I bit my tongue. That hurts." He replied expressionlessly, Glancing at his phone screen, she suddenly understood he wanted to change her contact name. That text message flashed before her eyes again. She was conflicted, wanting to forget that embarrassing memory, yet also hoping that it would leave an impression on him, like he had on her. Her inner thoughts were, he seems completely unconcerned about last night, hasn't mentioned it once, like it was just a speck of dust, not even needing to be brushed away. A gentle breeze could blow it clean. Being completely ignored in such an embarrassing situation should have been a happy thing, but she was actually a little disappointed. She thought sullenly, so unknowingly, "My name has become Yin Lily." Then she heard Fu Jingqiu's lively voice. "Uncle, Sister Lily, we're at the dorm." They completed their task, placing the luggage at the door. He immediately dropped the matter, waving his hand. "Uncle, your porter mission is successfully completed. You can go back now." Fu Shizai instructed, "Take care of yourself." Then he handed her luggage back, and she looked at him blankly. Her face flushed. He added, "Both of you too." The scene before her was like something out of a romantic movie. The Mid-Autumn Festival holiday arrived quickly. Enley and Deng Xiuqi stayed in together, watching TV and eating snacks. She reflected on this peaceful time. Graduate school life wasn't as busy as she had imagined. There weren't many classes, and besides attending classes and preparing video topics, she occasionally ate with Deng Xiuqi and the others. Come to think of it, I'm quite free, she thought, then obediently opened her mouth when Jia said, "Here, open wide." Amidst these simple things, the budding feelings of a young girl were naturally indispensable. She thought absent-mindedly. In her free time, she would always unconsciously think of Fu Shizai, especially when people kept mentioning him. Jia was the perfect example. Taking advantage of the free time, she curiously asked, "How are things going with Xiaxia's uncle?" She casually replied, "Pretty good." Jia's eyes lit up, grabbing her hand and starting to interrogate. "Oh my God, what stage are you at? Tell me, tell me." She said seriously. Lao Deng says, "Yes means no, and no means yes. My nothing much has reached the limit of my endurance. Isn't that good enough?" Jia was disappointed, wasting my emotions. She jokingly pinched Jia's chubby cheeks, coaxing, "All right, isn't Xiaxia arriving soon? I'll pack my things and go home too. I've spent the entire mid-autumn festival holiday with you, and I still have a ton of videos to shoot." At the same time, the sisters made their grand entrance. Xia Kongqing was back. Poor Fu Jingchu had to carry the luggage for the sisters. He greeted them with effort. "Hey, you too." He couldn't help but sigh. "Just a few days back home, I really don't understand where all this stuff came from." After completing the dedicated pickup and drop-off task, he breathed a sigh of relief and was about to find an excuse to slip away. "All right, I've safely delivered you, so I'll go downstairs now. I still want my uncle to drive me back to school." Deng Xiuqi just happened to hear the term uncle and excitedly called out to him, "Wait." Clearly, she had a good idea. She directly sold her best friend out, saying, "Aren't Nanjing University of Science and Technology and Shilijiang on the way? Enley also wants to go home. Could you give her a ride?" She was subtly pushed forward, softly calling out Xiuqi. She simply said with concern, "Do you want to go home now? Then let's go together, so you won't be unsafe alone." Enley waved her hand in refusal. "I haven't packed my things yet. The emperor isn't in a hurry, but the eunuch is. That's you, right?" Jia insisted. "What do you have to pack? Just leave your pajamas here, so you don't have to bring them next time. Let's go, let's go." She had to agree, "All right." As she was putting on her shoes, Jia called out to her again, "All right, Enley." Xia Kongqing happily announced the good news. "Didn't want to find an internship before. I just sent you a few job postings. See which one you're interested in. I heard from Shu Jingsong that EAW is also hiring. I'll send you their HR's WeChat later." She politely thanked him, exchanged a few pleasantries, and apologized for the trouble. "Hey, don't be so polite with me. Let me know when you get home." When only the two of them were left in the car, she let her mind wander. The school was quite close to Shirley Xanadu. After Fu Jingchu got out, it would be just her and him. If it started to rain, it would be just like the night they first met. Before that happened, he spoke up cheerfully, "Right, Lily Jia, if you're looking for an internship, you can come to EAW. My brother is very generous to his employees, and my uncle is there too. You two can look out for each other." She couldn't help but overthink it. Look out for each other. Lately, she'd been seeing Fu Shizai more frequently for some reason, and now she might be interning at his company. Any normal person would think there was some ulterior motive at play. Maybe she should explain. She hesitated for a moment, then suddenly heard, "Yin Lily." She responded vaguely. Then, puzzled Yin Lily. "Oh, are you calling me?" he asked. "Which bakery was that cake from the other day?" Yinli asked, confused. "What about that Swiss roll from last time?" "What about it?" Fu Jingchu replied succinctly. "My family really liked it." Hearing this, she said excitedly, "It's rare to hear you say so much. I made that roll myself. You can't buy it anywhere. But I always make a lot. If your family likes it, I'll bring you some more next time I make it." He politely thanked her, but said it wasn't necessary and continued to focus on driving. Yinli felt a little disappointed. She deliberately turned her face to the window, lost in thought. She'd been rejected so many times that she was getting used to it. This guy is such a blockhead. She sighed regretfully. When they arrived back at Calixiang, the sun was just setting. Before getting out of the car, she politely thanked him. "I'll head back now. Thanks for the ride today." She paused as she opened the car door. After thinking about it the whole way, she finally decided to explain about Deng Xiuqi sketchy, mentioning her working at EAW. Actually, He Jiaming knows I've been looking for an internship recently, so she recommended a few companies to me, including EAW, but I haven't decided which one to apply to yet. Then she asked softly, do you have any opinions? After all that circling around, she was actually trying to hint I might go to EAW for an interview. If it's inconvenient for you, I won't go. He turned to look at her in surprise, clearly understanding the deeper meaning. She coughed awkwardly. I was just mentioning it. I'll head back now. She hadn't expected him to care. He asked, which companies did He Jiaming recommend to you? She immediately fumbled for the document and handed it over. These companies. He glanced at it casually and asked professionally, what's your major? She answered honestly, automation. He asked again, what's your expected salary? She said without hiding anything, it's an internship, so I don't expect to earn much, but more is always better, of course. He looked at the list of key companies and explained his reasoning to her, looking incredibly cool. The sunset faded and twilight gave way to night. She rummaged through her cupboards and drawers, looking for ingredients. Looking at the moldy yam in her hand, she sighed, it's only been a few days since National Day, and it's already gone bad. What a waste. Then she carefully found some wrapping paper. Having prepared everything she needed, she even put on an apron, clearly ignoring his refusal. She thought, he doesn't mind me working at EAW, and he doesn't think it'll be a problem for him if we work at the same company. She worried, so he doesn't dislike me, right? Every time I see Fu Shizai, my mood goes up and down. I might be completely disheartened and break down because of one of his actions, or I might be completely revived and energized by one of his words. Is this the legendary? Oh no, I've fallen into the pit of love. She thought blankly, her cheeks already flushed. Fortunately, she still knew to maintain her composure, shaking her head vigorously to get rid of the thought. Stop it. Keep cleaning the fridge. But in reality, she wasn't focused on what she was doing, just going through the motions habitually, absent-mindedly muttering, he loves me not, he loves me, when only one was left on the table. She blatantly changed it to, he loves me. EAW, it's you, she said decisively. Then, Enley went to the recommended companies as planned. She thought with emotion, I didn't expect the HR that Judger recommended to arrange for He Jiaming to be the interviewer. He Jiaming smiled brightly and said, of course, there's no problem with you coming for an interview. Let me take a look at your resume first, and I'll contact you about the specific interview time. By the way, you might even run into a familiar face when you come for the interview. She wondered, a familiar face. Who could it be? A few interviewees were already chatting and laughing in the waiting room. Gushi greeted her warmly. Hi. What a coincidence. Are you here for the interview too? She smiled and replied, yes, what a coincidence. She then sat down in a nearby chair, thinking, so it's her. Meanwhile, Gushi continued chatting with someone else. Do you know her? He asked. She casually replied, we attended an event together before. He tried to strike up a conversation with her. Let's chat too. Before she could respond, Gushi interjected pointedly. Can't you tell she doesn't want to talk to you? Don't bother her. By the way, which company did you work at before? She completely ignored Gushi's presence. He didn't seem to mind and continued talking to himself. Oh, how aloof, she thought, suppressing her emotions and clenching her phone. I'm just not good at talking to strangers. It doesn't mean I'm aloof. She then put on her headphones in her corner. Forget it. There's no point explaining. I should focus on preparing for the interview. It was soon time for the interview. She walked out of the room listlessly and sighed. Ugh. Even though it was just a one-on-one interview, she felt drained. But I answered fairly fluently. I think I did okay this time, right? He Jiaming asked with concern, are you done? She replied softly, yes, I did my best. Suddenly, He Jiaming leaned in and whispered gossipingly, have you seen Gushi recently? I don't know where she heard that Fu Shizai works here. So she contacted our boss directly and said she wanted to interview here. It suddenly dawned on her. So she came to interview because of Fu Shizai. He Jiaming continued in a low voice. She's so obviously here with ulterior motives, but we can't refuse to give her an interview. Suddenly, someone called out to He Jiaming. Jiaming, can you take a look at this document? She said considerately, go ahead and do your work. I won't disturb you. She replied happily, okay, looking forward to working with you. Just as she was about to leave, her phone rang. Ring, ring, ring. She answered the call. Hello, Mom. The elevator doors opened with a ding. She answered truthfully, the interview results will be out in 3 days. How did I do? I don't think it went well. I don't know. Her mother comforted her. It's okay. It's your first interview. Just consider it a learning experience. She was about to say, Mom. Her father snatched the phone and scolded, "You've been introverted since you were a child. You can't even speak properly to strangers. And you insisted on going to Nanwu, so far away from home, all by yourself. You thought it would be fun. Now you regret it, don't you?" A flicker of confusion crossed her eyes. She frowned, asking herself, since when did being introverted become a bad thing? It's equated with being solitary and antisocial. What did introverts do wrong? Can introverts live a good life? Finally, Enley took a deep breath and said resolutely, "Yes, it's no big deal. If this company doesn't want me, I'll apply to other companies. In any case, I won't go back to cheerful." He blurted out furiously, "Fine, you've grown wings. Now you don't want to come back, then don't ever come back." Then he hung up the phone. Beep, beep, beep. She lowered her head, lost in thought. It's always like this. He never listens to me. No matter what, I won't give in easily this time. She took a deep breath, her eyes firm. The elevator doors opened with a ding. Outside, Du Gushi was clinging to Fu Jingchu. As soon as Du Gushi saw her, she started making things up. "Enley, where did you go? Come here quickly." Enley was pulled over, confused. "What?" Du Gushi continued to fabricate. "Didn't you just ask me to get this handsome guy's WeChat for you?" She linked arms with Enley intimately, shifting the blame. "He probably thinks I'm the one who wants it. How embarrassing." Enley understood the situation. She felt embarrassed that she couldn't get his WeChat, so she pushed it onto me. "Do I look that easy to bully?" Suddenly, Fu Jingchu asked, "Do you want it?" Her cheeks flushed slightly. He looked at her intently, waiting for an answer. Du Gushi pushed Enley forward again and said, "Yeah, she's too shy. So she asked me for help." He was puzzled. "Didn't I already give it to you?" She's just teasing you." Fu Shizai overheard the conversation. He replied indifferently, "Then I'll be going." She said softly, "Okay." Du Gushi looked at her thoughtfully. She said with disgust, "Then I'll be going too." She tried to pull her hand back. The shameless woman leaned in and said, "Great, I'm leaving too. Let's go together." They left the company building. She looked at the overly enthusiastic Du Gushi with confusion. The woman said affectionately, "Yin Laosher, why didn't you tell me you two knew each other earlier? You made things so awkward for me." Then she paused for a moment and calmly fabricated a story to belittle her. "Speaking of which, you remind me of a very good friend of mine. Every time she sees something I like, she deliberately buys the exact same thing." "Well, I didn't realize you were interested in this handsome guy before. Was it because you heard me asking for his WeChat, so you asked President Xu for it first?" She watched the two-faced woman gloat with a sneer, letting out a sarcastic ha. She thought to herself, it turns out that when words fail, all that's left is laughter. Then she heard the woman continue self-righteously, "But you misunderstood. I'm not interested in this poor repairman. How should I put it? I'm not interested in unskilled repairmen." She decisively pulled her hand back and asked suspiciously, "What did you say?" The woman said earnestly, "Didn't you see his hands are covered in grime? He's filthy. I thought he was Mr. Shu's friend, at least a store manager or something." No longer gentle, she retorted. "So you asked for Shu Jingsong's WeChat before? I wasn't aware of that. After all, you asked for quite a few people's WeChat that day. I couldn't remember." Enley mocked her fluently. "Yeah, you're such a great catch. Why didn't he give you his WeChat?" The woman was speechless. "That's because." She feigned sudden realization, answering her own question. "Oh, it seems he's not interested in you at all." She questioned coldly, "What does his job or salary have to do with you?" Later, back in her apartment, Enley clutched the water bottle tightly. She threw her bag down with a thud, all her pent-up frustration pouring out. What kind of person is she? Going back on her word and bad-mouthing me behind my back. So annoying. However, one question bothered her more than anything. Fu Shizai, a repairman. How could that be? Resting her chin in her hand, she speculated. Fu Shizai must have graduated. If he went to graduate school with such a good resume, he'd likely be in a big company or doing research. As for EAW, maybe the owner was a relative. Suddenly, her phone rang loudly. Ring, ring, ring. She stared blankly at the screen. It was a video call from Fu Shizai. The ringing grew louder. Ring, ring, ring. She hugged her head in confusion, hesitating for several seconds. "Oh, why a video call? Answer, don't answer. Answer, don't answer." Just as she was about to answer, her eyes widened in a daze. The notification showed, "The other party has canceled the call." She thought regretfully, "Why couldn't I be braver?" Enley sighed wearily. Ugh. Her phone rang again. Ring, ring, ring. She tried to calm herself, took a deep breath, made up her mind, and pressed the answer button, offering a greeting. "Hello." Silence. She listened patiently. The other end seemed noisy. Fu Jingqiu asked, Lily, are you at school? It's club day today. Do you want to come to our booth? She pursed her lips. So that's what it was. Not hearing her reply, he asked in confusion, Lily, why is it so quiet on your end? She replied, okay, but I'm at Kaylee Xiang now. It might take me a while to get there. She put down the water bottle and finally couldn't resist probing, is Shizai there? He didn't hear the question, saying excitedly, Bye Lily, I have to go get busy. Take your time getting here. The screen displayed, call duration 1 minute 27 seconds. She wondered, so is he there or not? Nanjing University of Science and Technology was bustling with people. Enley was waving away a club recruitment flyer, politely apologizing, sorry, I'm in a hurry. Suddenly, she heard a voice call out, Sister Lily. She looked towards the sound. Fu Jingqiu waved at her, Sister Lily, over here, over here. Then his gaze fell on the stack of flyers in her hand, and he immediately started his sales pitch. Try to recruit her. Those aren't good, Sister Lily. Look at ours. We're the only outdoor club in the school. And I've been working super hard recently. I even got a big sponsor, he said proudly. Sure enough, the flyer clearly stated, this club is sponsored by EAW Virtual Reality Experience Center. Present this flyer for a 20% discount. She thought awkwardly, so it's his family's sponsorship. He asked for praise, Sister Lily, aren't I awesome? But her gaze had already met her muses. Fu Shizai was carefully organizing some cardboard boxes, as if sensing someone watching him. He looked up, and she froze slightly, her cheeks flushing. To avoid his gaze, she replied casually, pretty awesome. He winked playfully. Hee, Sister Lily, let's go get him to help us out a bit. Then Fu Jingqiu placed a new cardboard box on the table. He called out loudly, hey, help me sort out these prizes. He further explained, to give out his prizes when people play games or let them choose themselves. Enley's gaze landed on the cute cloth bag in his hand. She was a little curious. It's picking the moon in daylight. He boasted about his contribution. These prizes are pretty good, right? I prepare them all. She echoed his praise. Not bad, not bad. What a coincidence. I just went to EAW for an interview this morning. Hearing this, he was happy for her. That's great, Sister Lily. You and him will be working at the same company soon. Then, looking at him working diligently, he tactfully reminded, hey, don't trouble Sister Lily too much, okay? He immediately stood up, patted off the dust, and said, I'll be going then. Fu Jingqiu panicked, grabbing her arm. How can you leave? He repeated innocently, it's not any trouble at all, I swear. She could only surrender. Fu Jingqiu smoothly changed the subject, saying cheerfully, since you and Sister Lily are so fated, pick a souvenir from EAW. Which one do you like? I'll have him hold it for you. She was too embarrassed to say it directly, but her eyes kept glancing at the canvas bag. In her heart, she was chanting, just ask me one more time or let me choose directly, but her mouth awkwardly replied, anything is fine. Fu Jingqiu, with an innocent look, handed her a thermos, saying, how about this? It's very practical. You'll definitely use it. She was momentarily stunned. While he was thinking a canvas bag with the EAW logo, carrying it around, is basically free advertising. She politely replied, thank you, while he, thinking he had done something remarkable, replied, you're welcome. He only thought sadly my bag goodbye. He keenly noticed her disappointment. He continued his work, putting on his glasses, turning on the power, and then comparing the feel. When he took off his glasses, she eagerly asked, do you need my help? He then directed, stand there, I'll adjust the position. Fu Jingqiu, go to the other side. He operated it again, his expression serious, sensing the space beyond reality. It made her heart tremble, her cheeks flushing. He walked forward step by step, thump thump. She thought dreamily, even though there's so many people here, it feels like I can only sense his presence. And the only sound I can hear is his footsteps, thump thump, getting closer and closer, thump thump. She thought dazedly, step by step, he's approaching, engulfing my space. I want to retreat and escape, yet I yearn for him to come closer. A moment later, he took off the VR glasses. All right, thanks. She waved her hand. You're welcome. Suddenly, Fu Jingqiu shouted, brother. He pointed at the cardboard box next to the table and loudly questioned, don't tell me we have to hand out all those flyers in that box today. That's too much. You only sponsored a little, and you want me to do all this work. He replied calmly, I don't feel anything. It's not like you're the one handing them out. He exclaimed frantically, Brother, where's your humanity? Fu Jingchu grumbled, but obediently picked up a stack of flyers. Fine, fine. Who made you the gold sponsor? I'll hand them out. At this moment, Enley enthusiastically stepped forward. I'm free anyway. I'll help you hand them out. He looked at her like she was his savior, his eyes brimming with tears as he exclaimed, Sister Lily, you're so kind. Fu Jingchu said proudly, Brother, see, this is the difference between you and Sister Lily. Let's go, Sister Lily. He placed the VR glasses on the table. A cold voice called out, Wait a minute. Fu Shizai walked up to Enley and took half of the flyers. After doing this, he succinctly said, All right. She thought in surprise, Does he mean to help me hand out half? Seeing this, Fu Jingchu immediately became jealous. Brother, why don't you take some of mine? I have a lot more than Sister Lily. He teased with a straight face, because this is the difference between the two of you. Hearing this, her cheeks flushed, her heart skipping a beat. Her mind was completely focused on him. Enley, admit it, your emotions are now completely controlled by this man named Fu Shizai. Her heart was in such a flurry, excitedly out of control. After an unknown amount of time, she had finished handing out all the flyers. Fu Jingchu glanced curiously in his direction. Why are there still so many people over by my brother? He picked up a bottle of water and said to her, Sister Lily, could you take this bottle of water to my brother? I still have flyers to hand out. She thoughtfully replied, Okay, you should rest too. Don't get heat stroke. Enley quickly walked over and called out, Fu, but the words caught in her throat. She looked shyly at the girl who was asking him a question. Is it the right button? He patiently instructed, the right button below. After you press it, you can launch items. She nervously squeezed the 2 bottles of water in her hand and turned around dejectedly. He's still busy. I shouldn't bother him. Suddenly, Fu Shizai extended his hand towards her. She froze, and he held that position for a long time. Enley reacted and placed the bottle of water in his hand. Fu Shizai twisted the cap open with force. His next action surprised Enley even more. He handed the bottle back to her. She subconsciously handed him the remaining bottle. Watching him drink the water, her heart throbbed once again. It wasn't a big deal, but because the person doing it was Fu Shizai, her cheeks flushed, her heart raced, as if it had become something different. Looking at his cold face, Enley thought about her several unsuccessful attempts to get close to Fu Shizai, which had made her determined to stay away from this iceberg. However, actually avoiding him proved to be somewhat difficult. The scorching sun blazed outside, but the campus was still bustling with people. Fu Shizai was busy instructing everyone on how to use VR technology when a girl suddenly called out to him from behind. Hello, the girl asked, holding a bag in her hand. Can I have this prize? He turned around, expressionless, and finally said coldly, Sorry, someone already claimed this one. Choose another. After a busy day, the promotional event finally ended and everyone took turns packing up. Fu Jingchu impatiently asked, Uncle, are you done yet? He urged with his hands on his hips, hurry up, let's go eat. Suddenly, Enley's gaze fell upon a bag left on the table, and she shyly suggested, Can I try it out? Fu Jingchu, the clueless straight man, blurted out, Sister Lily, haven't you ever played a claw machine before? She awkwardly scratched her face, no, never. He suddenly stood up and said, The only prize left is this canvas bag. She blinked and replied sincerely, I just want to try it out. Any prize is fine, really. I mean it. Seeing her adorable expression, he suddenly flashed a rare smile. She was stunned by this sight. Her eyes were glued to him involuntarily. Did he just smile? Fu Jingchu suddenly realized, Sister Lily, you want this canvas bag, right? He enthusiastically stuffed the bag into her hands. Here, it's yours. Then he turned to Fu Shizai and said impatiently, Uncle, hurry up and pack up. I'm starving. Enley clutched the bag tightly, her eyes still fixed on him as she watched him carry things past. She thought, did he know I wanted this bag all along? Everyone quickly moved to the school cafeteria. The food was already served, and the two of them were once again sitting opposite each other. Fu Jingchu chattered while eating, Sister Lily, are you from Shishu? I remember people from Shishu really like to eat noodles. She nodded and replied, Yes, I've been in Shishu while doing my research. He exclaimed in surprise, a top student from Shishu University of Science and Technology. This remark caught his attention. Enley humbly shook her head and explained, I attended a regular school in Shishu. XUSD is probably the best university there. Ordinary people can't get in. She pointed at him and rambled on, well, but the person next to me is no ordinary person. She feigned surprise and exclaimed, ah, so you're a student at Jinka University. Inwardly, she thought, I still have to pretend. I can't let Fu Shizai realize I'm secretly investigating him. He asked curiously, Sister Lily, didn't you know Uncle is also a Jinka student? He was the top scorer in the college entrance exam in Nanwa City that year. Our house was practically covered in banners. She picked up some noodles and said calmly, so impressive. In her heart, she murmured, of course I know. He's the idol I've admired for so long. At this moment, Fu Jingshu was alarmingly perceptive and directly called her out, Sister, why are you so calm? Did you already know? She started stammering nervously. I just didn't react. Enley coughed and immediately changed her tune, feigning admiration. Wow, you're so amazing. Looking at her expression, Fu Shizai was speechless. He said calmly, let's eat. Enley breathed a sigh of relief and continued eating her noodles, thinking, it seems I've managed to cover up my secret investigation of him. Suddenly, Fu Jingshu slammed his chopsticks on the table with a loud crack, startling her and causing her to drop some noodles. What's wrong? He declared indignantly, Sister Lily, do you know how abnormal Uncle is? He glanced at Fu Shizai as he spoke. I didn't want to go to school, but he tricked me by saying we would go together, so I agreed. The day before, he patted his chest and promised we'd go to school together, but then, Fu Jingshu, acting childishly, angrily snatched the rice ball Fu Shizai was about to eat. He stuffed the rice ball into his mouth and complained resentfully. After 2 days, he skipped a grade and straight to middle school. Fu Jingshu asked angrily, Sister Lily, tell me, isn't that abnormal? She froze, unsure how to respond. Meanwhile, Fu Shizai remained indifferent, eating and drinking calmly like an outsider. She unconsciously defended him. Well, it's not like he lied. You did go to the same school. Besides, it's not his fault he's so smart, right? Isn't that so? As soon as she finished speaking, Fu Jingshu was dumbfounded. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward, with both uncle and nephew staring at her blankly. Fu Jingshu frowned, his face full of question marks, while Fu Shizai calmly continued eating. But before he could put it in his mouth, Fu Jingshu snatched it away a second time. He glared at his nephew angrily. Fu Jingshu ate his meal with a dramatic air of grievance. Despite his words, his uncle had instilled a deep-seated fear in him since childhood, and even after all these years, he still lived under his uncle's shadow. He chattered nonstop like a machine gun. Sister Lily, you have no idea how much pressure it is to grow up with a super genius. Let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. A moment later, she sighed deeply and said earnestly, don't be sad. Fu Jingshu's eyes sparkled with anticipation, but she comforted him with a straight face. We need to recognize our own limitations. We're just ordinary people. He pouted in disappointment, while Fu Shizai nodded in agreement, adding, accepting yourself isn't scary. He burst into dramatic sobs, the sweet and sour pork ribs overlord, the braised pork overlord, the steamed dishes overlord. Is there no one to uphold justice for me? Yunli gritted her teeth in exasperation. No one is going to uphold justice for you. Just eat your food. After the meal, the three of them went to a dessert shop. Suddenly, Fu Jingshu noticed a shop. Oh, they're open today. He grinned at Fu Shizai. Uncle, do you want to get something? Fu Shizai said coldly, go buy some if you want. He glanced at Yunli. You too. Yunli quickly declined. No, thank you. I still have some. Despite this, Fu Jingshu enthusiastically pushed her forward. Come on, Sister Lily, don't be so polite with Uncle. Let's go, let's go. As soon as they entered the bakery, he started chattering nonstop. Their cookies are soft and fragrant, but they crumble too easily. Don't get those. They look good, but they're not tasty and they're super dry. You need to drink 3 glasses of water after 1 bite. This one, they used to have a purchase limit on these. Sister Lily, you have to try it. Yin Li's head began to ache. How can he talk so much? She thought. How does Fu Shizai put up with him? He continued innocently, Sister, try this one. And this one is good too. This one is delicious. Seeing her unresponsive, Fu Jingchu asked directly, Sister Lily, why are you ignoring me? She asked curiously, Fu Jingchu, did you used to talk to your uncle like this? He answered honestly, I think so, but uncle used to talk a lot more than he does now. She asked in surprise, so what did he usually say to you? Fu Jingchu replied blankly. He would ask me if I grew a second mouth. After listening, Enley was a little confused. This wasn't what she had expected. Her gaze swept over Fu Shizai's. Although he ignored Fu Jingchu most of the time, he seemed to dote on him. Looking at his icy face, she speculated that he was like a moss ball, slowly expanding when his emotions fluctuated, but never truly getting angry. She smiled with satisfaction. I think I understand him a little better now. Fu Jingchu called out innocently, Sister Lily, let's go to the front. Uncle is lining up to pay for us. She asked in a fluster, should we get him some too? The image of the outstanding Fu Shizai flashed through her mind. Fu Jingchu waved his hand, saying proudly, it's okay, Sister Lily. We always let Uncle pay. And after our training, Uncle has become a cashier genius. In the blink of an eye, 2 trays piled high with food were placed on the table. As usual, Fu Jingchu walked up to Fu Shizai and grinned. Uncle, it's your turn to pay again. Fu Shizai raised his phone without hesitation. Please calculate the total. Enley quickly stopped him and took out her own card. Mine. Just swipe my student card. Suddenly, Fu Jingchu noticed her card. He stared at the photo on the card, taken when her hair was still past her shoulders. Fu Jingchu looked shocked. Sister Lily, was this photo taken when you enrolled? Enley explained, this is my high school photo. When they were taking photos for graduation, I had to go home for a family matter, so the system used the old photo. He said happily, long hair looks good too, right uncle? Fu Shizai ignored him and quickly paid. WeChat payment successful. She scratched her face awkwardly, still saying politely, I'll transfer the money to you later. Then she casually called him, Uncle. Fu Jingchu walked beside her, still chattering. It's okay, Sister Lily. With a younger generation, Uncle won't let us pay. She covered her mouth, imagining Fu Shizai painstakingly helping Fu Jingchu get into college. Being Fu Jingchu's uncle must be hard. Suddenly, she started lecturing Fu Jingchu on Fu Shizai's behalf. Your uncle is so good to you. Don't bully him. As soon as the words left her mouth, Fu Jingchu froze. Fu Shizai looked at her with an indifferent gaze. Enley avoided his eyes, even finding a reasonable excuse to speak. Besides, he already paid for us. But a blockhead like Fu Jingchu didn't understand at all, innocently replying, No, Sister Lily, this isn't bullying. Uncle doesn't have a girlfriend and doesn't have much to spend money on, so it's just right to spend it on us younger ones. He added happily, and you get a loyal little follower like me. Fu Jingchu scratched his head and laughed heartily. When he gets a girlfriend, I'll definitely tone it down. His tone shifted, teasing, Uncle, when are you going to find me an aunt? He pretended indifference as he handed the bag of bread back. Eat your bread. Fu Shizai casually passed the bag to Enley. Here, yours. She took it happily, saying, thank you. She carefully placed it in the promotional bag she received from the event, lovingly stroking the moon logo on the bag. Seeing how much she treasured it, Fu Jingchu, while eating his bread, asked curiously, Sister Lily, how does it feel to carry that bag? She raised an eyebrow, lifting the bag to reply, it's pretty good, just a little big. He immediately said, as long as you like it. Delighted by Nanwa's sunset, Enley quickly took out her phone to record it. The sky is so beautiful, she said to the two of them. I'm just taking some empty shots for footage. It'll be quick. Fu Jingchu put his arm around Fu Shizai's shoulder and walked away. All right, we'll wait for you over there. She quickly held the bag up high, choosing the best angle, and started taking pictures. Fu Jingchu kept talking. Hey, Uncle, Sister Lily said the pattern on her canvas bag looks a lot like your profile picture. He immediately opened his phone. Sure enough, both were moons, just different colors. Chewing his food, he muttered, the bag is a moon. You're also a moon, and just now Sister Lily said you're big. He trembled with anger, then gritted his teeth. Shut up. Just like that, they walked until evening. On the way, a broadcast came on. It's him, our Nanda University's former celebrity, winner of countless awards. His fans are all very curious. They listened attentively as they walked, hearing the person ask, do you have any regrets from your university days? The other person's voice sounded a little melancholic. Regrets. Probably not having a relationship. She pursed her lips, her eyes wide as she looked at them. Fu Jingchu and Fu Shizai must have a lot to talk about. Why did they keep walking around chatting and then shooting three-pointers? Suddenly, he asked curiously, Sister Lily, what about you? Any regrets from university? She clutched the bag tightly, her face flushing with embarrassment. Probably not having a relationship. Enley changed the subject. What about you? He stroked his chin thoughtfully. I've had 4 or 5, but none lasted long. She glanced at Fu Jingchu surreptitiously. He was slightly taken aback, silent for a long time. Enley's curiosity turned into self-conjecture and alarm. Uncle, you've also had 4 or 5. Hearing this, he looked over, speechless. You're really giving me too much credit with such a vague statement. Her eyes sparkled, blinking in confusion. Fu Jingchu stroked his chin, pretending to be a real interpreter. Sister Lily, what my uncle means is the fact that he can even be asked this question. That is a compliment in itself, he said smugly. After all, in our eyes, he reproduces asexually. This statement left the other two speechless. She giggled, the broadcast continuing. So, Senior Yin, do you have any advice for the new students? Fu Shizai smiled faintly, a rare smile gracing his lips as he looked in her direction. They continued walking, the interviewer's chattering voice filling the air. Well, we hope everyone studies hard, and don't forget to enjoy the romance of youth when you have time. Fu Jingchu casually looked at his phone, then suddenly spoke. They really shouldn't have invited this guy as a guest. I feel like by the time my uncle's classmates' kids are in elementary school, he still won't have a girlfriend. He put on a knowing expression. Uncle is clearly more qualified to speak on this. Uncle, how about I contact him for you, so he can be a guest next time? Fu Shizai patted his shoulder, gesturing for him to go somewhere quiet. Come here for a second. And with that, he began practicing his punches and kicks on him, a flurry of blows. Enley shuddered, thinking how difficult it must have been for Fu Jingchu to grow up in one piece. A moment later, he emerged with bumps all over his head, but still enthusiastically invited her. Sister Lily, my roommate said there's a soccer game at the men's gymnasium tonight. Wanna go together? Enley's head was spinning. Soccer. She didn't even know how many people were on the field. She politely declined. I'd rather not. I don't understand anything about it. I'm afraid I'll spoil everyone's fun. Sister Lily, we're going to watch, not play. Since we're already here, he didn't give up, whispering in her ear, come on, let's go buy some drinks and watch while we drink. Uncle hit me. I have to find a way to empty his wallet. Sister Lily, help me out. She chuckled playfully. But you kind of deserve to be hit. Fu Jingchu looked as if he'd been struck by lightning, collapsing dramatically. Sister Lily, why are you treating me like this too? Just like that, they drag her into the convenience store. Fu Jingchu was still asking, but Uncle, aren't you going back to school? Enley listened silently, making a new discovery. He hadn't graduated yet and was still a master's student. She replied indifferently, I'm not going back. Fu Jingchu was still chattering. Then can you still graduate? My advisor said if I dare take a week off, I'll have to postpone graduation. Enley looked away and continued choosing milk. A voice suddenly came from behind her, startling her. Classmate, why are you taking so long to choose a carton of milk? He recounted all her actions. You first chose Bright Dairy, then switched to Ely, then Mungyo. I know there's a convenience store franchise nearby. She asked warily, do we know each other? The male classmate replied embarrassedly, no, but Enley uncomfortably stepped back. If we don't know each other, why are you watching me? He tried to explain, no, it's not like that. Before he had a chance, she stormed off angrily. By this time, Fu Jingchu had already chosen a full basket of items and was standing at the checkout, ready to take advantage of his uncle. He asked curiously, Sister Lily, the person who was just talking to you, was he your classmate? She shook her head. No, he kept staring at me. He even knew which brands of milk I switched between. I think he's a bit. Enley looked disgusted. She gritted her teeth and said, a creep. She sighed wearily. Let's not talk about him. Let me scan the items. Hurry up. Fu Jingchu, the busybody, turned and whispered in Fu Shizai's ear, doesn't Sister Lily realize he was trying to hit on her? She seems to think he's some peeping Tom. Fu Shizai asked with a deadpan expression, if not that, then what? He replied with the air of someone experienced. Isn't this just a simple pickup attempt, dude? Fu Jingchu sighed. Sister Lily is so pretty, but unexpectedly, she's so naive when it comes to relationships. Suddenly, Fu Shizai spoke up coldly on her behalf. Aren't you also naive in relationships? How can you compare to someone who's been in 4 or 5 relationships, right? At this moment, he was also holding a carton of fresh milk. It made her a little embarrassed. As she scanned the items, she wondered if she had taken too much milk. She said cheerfully, I've already taken 3 cartons, thinking you guys could drink them together later. He picked up a carton and placed it on the scanner. Beep. Fu Shizai asked casually, don't they have chocolate milk? She replied, puzzled, oh, I didn't see any. If you want some, I can go check the supermarket next door, he said impassively. It's on the shelf right next to you. Hearing this, Enley glanced over in surprise. She quickly picked up the chocolate milk. Oh, then I'll switch it out. He took her milk carton without a word. Enley blinked at him. Fu Shizai replied succinctly, just switch it with the one in your hand. At this time, there were still many empty seats on the basketball court. Fu Jingchu sat down excitedly. Come on, you two sit down. The game is about to start. Enley said worriedly, I don't understand basketball at all. Is it really okay for me to be here? Unchanged in his nature, he offered naive reassurance. It doesn't matter if you don't understand basketball. Look at the people. There are lots of handsome guys on the court. Fu Shizai sat down coldly beside her. She accidentally touched his leg with her foot and quickly pulled it back in alarm. At the same time, Fu Jingchu cheered enthusiastically. Oh yeah, it's starting, it's starting. She nervously clutched the snack box in her hands and mustered the courage to speak to Fu Shizai. Which team are you rooting for? He replied indifferently, I don't know. She asked in surprise, then do you usually watch basketball? He shook his head. No. Unexpectedly, she blurted out, so you came here today to accompany Fu Jingchu. He immediately retorted, so did you. Enley felt awkward. The conversation had reached a dead end. How did we end up in this awkward situation with nothing to talk about? On the basketball court, an energetic player made a beautiful shot. The audience and Fu Jingchu cheered excitedly. Go. Great shot. Immersed in the lively atmosphere, her mood also brightened. He had even prepared props in the basket. Fu Jingchu innocently handed them to her and Fu Shizai. Sister Lily, uncle, don't just sit there. Remember to cheer them on. Enley shyly glanced at Fu Shizai and, summoning all her courage, handed one to him. Although she was introverted, she was now experiencing intermittent bursts of extroversion. Squeezing the toy, she said with a smile, you should participate too. It's quite fun. Fu Shizai didn't react. Enley reluctantly stuffed it into his hand. Now that we're here, she anxiously waited, her brow furrowed. Finally, he gave in and squeezed the toy, but his expression looked extremely perfunctory. He said in a flat voice, go. The commentator's voice rose in excitement. The game is entering a crucial stage. Just one more basket, and they'll basically secure the victory. Simultaneously, Enley and Fu Shizai were also caught up in the rhythm of the game. The commentator shouted excitedly. The forward breaks through the defense. Wow, he scored. The score is now 2-0. Hearing this, the audience in the stands went wild. The camera immediately cut to them. The commentator exclaimed with all his might, this game is incredible. The fans in the stadium were equally thrilled, raising their hands and cheering for the spectacular goal. Suddenly, Fu Shizai froze. He and Enley were caught on camera, both looking bewildered, as if caught red-handed. The commentator even quipped, unbelievable. That goal was so exciting, it seems to have frozen the fans in place. Moments later, the camera moved away. Enley finally breathed a sigh of relief. She lowered her head and sighed deeply. Was I too stiff? It was a highlight moment. I should have been more excited. Fu Shizai glanced at her, feeling a pang of guilt at her dejected look. He then looked down at the prop in his hand. A thought suddenly flashed through his mind. He sat up straight, his expression relaxed, and began clapping continuously. Enley was surprised. Fu Shizai, who had just been listless, was now even more enthusiastic than her. He excitedly pointed at the scoreboard. Another goal. Hearing this, Enley's mood brightened again. Wow, this team is amazing. His eyes didn't leave her, and the corners of his mouth turned up slightly. The game finally ended. Enley followed the crowd, looking around for Fu Jingchu. There are too many people. I don't know where Jingchu got pushed off to. He said nonchalantly, don't worry about him. He knows how to get to the parking lot. The surrounding people were chattering excitedly. Oh my God, that last goal was awesome. Someone beside her echoed. I'm so hyped up, I'm going crazy. Let's go play a game. Suddenly, someone bumped into her from behind, causing her to stumble forward. Unfortunately, her head bumped into Fu Shizai's back. Ouch! He turned around to look at her. She explained awkwardly, I'm sorry. Someone pushed me from behind. The person who bumped her continued to urge, Enley, move. What are you standing there for? She ignored them, concerned only for him. Did I hurt you? Fu Shizai coldly extended his hand, glaring at the young man, demanding he back off. The young man faltered, his face paling. What are you doing? Fu Shizai simply raised his eyes, a single cold glance sending a shiver down the young man's spine. His previous aggressiveness vanished, and he quickly retreated a few steps. I'm in a good mood because the team won, so I'll let it go. He said considerately to Enley, you go ahead. She replied, thank you. As she walked past him, her face flushed and her heart raced. So close. She widened her eyes, taking the opportunity to inhale his scent. I can even smell the faint scent of laundry detergent on him. The crowd behind her continued to push, causing her to fall into Fu Shizai's arms. The two looked at each other, the atmosphere intensely romantic. He softly instructed, be careful. She replied briefly, okay. Enley tried to remain calm. My heart is beating so fast. Thankfully, it's noisy enough to cover it up. Fu Jingchu was already outside, chatting with his friends. Yeah, tonight's game was amazing. I'm so pumped. I want to play some ball. Encouraged by his friends, he said hesitantly, sure, but I have to tell my uncle first. Seeing them emerge, Fu Jingchu waved and shouted, hey uncle, Li, over here. He jogged over. Uncle, I haven't seen my buddies all summer. We want to play some ball before heading home. Fu Jingchu asked proudly, do you want to watch me play? Enley glanced at him. Are you going to play? He replied indifferently, no, I don't play soccer. Fu Jingchu quickly interjected, my uncle doesn't play soccer. He plays badminton. We can play badminton together sometime. Uncle, take this water home first. And just like that, he left them to play with his friends. All right, I'm going to play ball. See you later, Uncle Li. This created an opportunity for her and Fu Shizai to be alone. She walked silently beside him, her heart blossoming. If it weren't so natural, I'd suspect Jingchu was deliberately setting us up. Looking at the perfect man beside her, she marveled. He created such an ideal world for the two of us. Enley gazed at him intently, thinking, so, I've been with Fu Shizai all day. Suddenly, he spoke, you going first. I'll be right back. She snapped back to reality. Oh, okay. She watched him leave, her brow furrowing. But why? Fu Shizai went off to the side to smoke. His current demeanor puzzled her. He used to be as bright as the sun, but why does he seem so heartbreakingly lonely now? After a while, he returned. Fu Shizai opened the car door and asked, surely Yongdu, right? She replied simply yes. He quickly got into the driver's seat and said in a cool tone, fasten your seatbelt. She fumbled with the seatbelt. Oh, okay. As he concentrated on driving, she awkwardly looked out the window. Last time he drove me home, I sat in the back. This time, I'm sitting next to him. She sank into thought. Did this mean their relationship had taken a step forward? But faced with a wall of steel, whether she took 1 step or 10, it didn't seem to make any difference. Fu Shizai's favorability rating, 10%. Suddenly, his phone chimed with a new message notification. Fu Shizai glanced at her, his tone still indifferent. Check the message for me. There's no password. She immediately agreed, okay. Her heart pounded. He was actually letting her use his phone. In the chat window was a 15-second voice message from Shu Jianshu, followed by a message from someone named Lin Wanin. Gee, my mom made you some zongzi. She asked me to bring them over to you. She wondered curiously. Lin Wanin sounded like a girl's name. Why would she send Fu Shizai so many messages? It seemed his family knew Fu Shizai too. Quickly dismissing these thoughts, she calmly turned to him. It's a voice message. Can I play it out loud? As soon as she finished speaking, Shu Jianshu's youthful voice rang out. It's getting late. Remember to walk Sister Lily downstairs. Understood. He even emphasized, don't bring her upstairs. Hearing this, Fu Shizai froze. Enley felt her face flush, and she didn't dare look at him. What was Shu Jianshu thinking? He quickly comforted her. Don't mind him. He's always been talkative. She nodded slightly to break the awkward silence. Enley took the initiative to start a conversation. Oh, are Jia Kongqing and Shu Jianshu brothers? They don't seem to have the same last name. He explained, Shu Jianshu takes my sister's last name. She nodded in understanding. So that's how it is. He continued, his expression unchanged. We initially planned for Jia Kongqing to take my sister's last name too, but later decided against it. Enley casually thought, so Shu Jianshu takes his father's last name. Then he narrowed his eyes and denied it. Not exactly. It's because my brother-in-law is afraid of my sister. She suddenly asked, oh, are you afraid too? As soon as the words left her mouth, the conversation stalled, plunging into another terrifying silence. Flustered, she stammered, no, I mean, are you afraid of your sister? I wasn't asking if you're afraid of your wife. She immediately dumped the food out of the bag. She pulled out a carton of chocolate milk in surprise, suddenly remembering when he had handed her the bag a few hours earlier. Take it home and eat it. She peeked inside curiously. Right, why did you suddenly ask me about chocolate milk today? He raised an eyebrow and remained silent for a long time. Seeing this, she awkwardly changed the subject. Sorry. Thank you for taking me home. Before she could finish, he mumbled, last time we went to Jia Kongqing's house. But didn't you buy one too? The flashback ended. Leaning back on the sofa, Enley thought maybe he was just a nice person, so he remembered the preferences of those around him. Blushing, she murmured to herself, but is he really paying attention to me? She curled up and squealed, am I being delusional? She looked up at the ceiling. Today was October 10th, 2016. A doctoral program lasted 5 years, so in principle, Fu Shizai should graduate in 8 months. But why was he in Nanhu? Just as she was thinking, her phone chimed with a message notification. She quickly opened it. It was a photo of her and Fu Shizai at the sports meet. Someone named Zhao Ju teased, "Why were you peeking at Sister Lily?" Someone replied, "It was looking openly." She scrolled down to the comments below. Her face went blank. What did that mean? Did it mean he wasn't peeking, or did it mean he really was looking at her openly? Enley excitedly fell back onto the bed and screamed, awe. Her heart was in turmoil. This was their first photo together. Then she reached out and zoomed in on the picture. The next morning, at EAW headquarters, He Jiaming greeted her enthusiastically. Miss Enley, I didn't expect you to agree to transfer from a technical position to HR. We can work together from now on. Enley then replied, I thought about it for a while and wanted to try office life. Plus, you also said the HR department only works 3 days a week. She frowned, recalling Deng Chui's accusation. Although it's not your major, you have the Xia family Xiaoju. Honestly, you rented a house so close. Wasn't it planned from the beginning? Those pointed words left her speechless. Indeed, there was no reason to refuse. After thinking for a moment, she turned and asked Sister Jiaming, now what should I do now? He Jiaming's expression turned serious. Miss Enley, you're the first intern we've hired, so to be honest, I'm not too sure either. These words stunned her. The world was a vast stage indeed. Looking at her adorable expression, He Jiaming chuckled softly. Don't overthink it. Remember Fushin. He said he was originally supposed to join the R&D department, but somehow ended up in the experience room as a worker. No, an equipment maintenance person. They mostly have new machines over there, so there aren't usually any problems. He basically just does odd jobs. It's not too bad. Enley tried to explain for him, but I heard he's highly qualified. He must be very capable. She sighed. That's true, but the main thing is he's difficult to get along with. He has a cold expression no matter who he talks to. Even I can't stand it. Only our boss can tolerate his temper. As she spoke, He Jiaming received a phone call. But there really isn't anything right now. Familiarize yourself with the situation first, and I'll find you if anything comes up. Enley had no choice but to agree. Okay, then I'll study the materials on my own. She suddenly remembered something. All right, the company doesn't have a cafeteria. We all order takeout, but it can only be delivered to the main gate. You have to pick it up yourself. He Jiaming leaned close to her ear and whispered, don't say I didn't think of you. I'm compiling a list of employees to pick up takeout, 2 people per group. Are you really sure there's no one you'd recommend going with? Enley shook her head blankly, no one. He Jiaming's next suggestion made her panic even more. What about Fu Xin? Enley felt awkward and could only leave the decision to her. Whatever she decides is fine. She felt a little lost. Is this what the workplace is like? She had just started and already encountered a difficult question she didn't know how to answer. He Jiaming cupped her face and chattered on. If I wasn't already seeing someone, I would definitely set myself up with Fu Shizai. Getting lunch with a handsome guy every day, at least it would be emotionally comforting. Suddenly, she smacked her forehead and returned to the main topic. All right, there's also this. Go to the gymnasium. They said the equipment has been malfunctioning for a while. The technician is already there and needs help. Enley quickly rushed to the scene. She politely knocked on the door. Knock, knock. Hello, I'm the new intern. Sister Jiaming asked me to help you fix the equipment. After waiting for a long time without seeing anyone, she pushed the door open and walked in. Didn't they say the technician was here too? Where is he? A cold voice echoed softly. I'm here. I'm at EAW. Her eyes widened in surprise. It's Fu Shizai. Her expression immediately changed, and her tone became polite. Yes, thank you for your advice last time, Mr. Fu. She thought to herself, it's better to be polite in the workplace. Standing there, she added, however, being assigned to the HR department doesn't really align with my major, and I'm a bit introverted. He suddenly looked up, startling her. Huh, can't you tell? Suddenly, their eyes met, and the atmosphere became quiet. Yinli started to worry. Will he think I want to ask for his contact information? She coughed a few times, ahem, and then squatted down. Sister Jiaming asked me to come and help you fix something. Suddenly, a bag of bread next to him caught her attention. But you haven't eaten yet, and you're already working. Yinli asked warmly, is there anything I can help with? Fu Shizai stood up, his face cold as ice, and replied, not for now. She also stood up and reminded him, your breakfast is going to get cold. You should eat first. He stood by the ladder and replied casually, it's fine. As soon as he finished speaking, he climbed up the ladder, which started to wobble. Yinli stepped forward. I'll hold it for you. Fu Shizai slowly installed the light bulb. After a while, he climbed down. He carefully checked the switch. Yinli earnestly offered him the bag of bread. He took it and said, there's no one on the ladder anymore. Yinli awkwardly let go of her hand. I thought you were still going to use it. Before she could finish speaking, he had already started munching on the bread. So she changed the subject. I'll go check on other things. You eat your breakfast. Yinli said enthusiastically, you've been busy all morning. I'll take care of the rest. He froze, his voice a little muffled. You don't need to help. As soon as he finished speaking, he continued to gnaw on the bread in his hand. Hearing this, she paused for a moment. Yinli adjusted her mood and replied with a smile, then you eat your breakfast. So the two of them went around checking things. Last time, they hadn't found anything interesting, but now, after walking around, they discovered that EAW really did have a lot of different gaming equipment. Yinli became interested in a device that simulated emotions based on the content displayed on the screen. The higher the score, the more generous the reward. This is a piece of cake, she thought. I have to test the sensitivity first. She put her face close to it, and soon the words extremely excited appeared on the screen. A voice popped up, oops, better luck next time. This startled her. Wasn't that extremely excited? Undeterred, she made another expression, and the words exaggerated expression immediately popped up on the screen. Wow, 100 points. Congratulations, you've surpassed 99% of people. She made a mental note, an emotion simulator that doesn't like small expressions. How boring. Emotional fluctuations. She suddenly paused, muttering to herself, someone with minimal emotional fluctuations. Thinking this, she glanced at Fu Shizai. Although it was a bit much for the sake of testing the machine, as if they had telepathic connection, he suddenly turned and asked, what's wrong? She replied, the machine seems to be malfunctioning. The test isn't very accurate. He seemed sleepy, yawning repeatedly, and tapped the screen. It's always like this. See if increasing the sensitivity helps. Yinli suddenly pointed at it and suggested, why don't you try it? What if my test results are inaccurate? Fu Shizai didn't refuse, placing his face within the frame. The machine quickly adjusted and declared, beaming with joy. Fu Shizai gave a small smile for his first attempt. The machine finally announced, wow, 10 points. You've beaten 5% of users. Better luck next time, he said with a straight face. Inaccurate. This made Yinli super dejected. Ah, that's it. I thought he'd smile if he got a high score. She nervously fiddled with the documents in her hand. He noticed and asked what's wrong. Do you want to see me beaming with joy? Yinli laughed. Haha, of course not. She regretfully changed the subject. Ahem, are we done with the checks? Let's call it a day. With that, the conversation reached a standstill, and the two silently walked out. Passing by a motorcycle, Yinli said longingly, a dirt bike. Childhood memories. Haven't ridden one in years. Fu Shizai guessed her thoughts again. Want to try it? She asked excitedly, can I? He nodded slightly. Yinli excitedly started talking. I used to play with my classmates all the time when I was little. These games were so popular back then. I'm familiar with all the games in the machine. We even promised to always play together. Seizing the opportunity, she started chatting him up. By the way, did you play this when you were little? He replied indifferently. No. She chattered on. Then what did you usually play when you were little? He said somewhat helplessly. Mostly played with my nephew. Yinli was stunned. Oh, what did you play with Fu Jingqiu? He turned on the light and said casually he liked playing house. Hearing this, Yinli pictured the scene, Fu Jingqiu playing with him. Uncle, you're not my uncle today, you're my dad. So who's going to be the mom? Lost in thought, she chuckled involuntarily. That's so cute. Suddenly, he turned his head and suggested, since you played it as a child, why don't you operate it? She was stunned by the selection in her face. Please select your relationship with your teammate. 1. Married couple. 2. Parent-child. 3. Couple. Her face flushed crimson, her heart in turmoil. Married couple. Couple. What the heck? This is too ambiguous. Enley chose the most common relationship. You have selected parent-child relationship. She laughed awkwardly. Haha, there are enough options. The others aren't really appropriate. So, Fu Shizai silently looked over. Then he walked over and patiently instructed, there are more options. Suddenly, the system sent a notification. Please select the guardian player. Enley was dumbfounded. Father-son, mother-son, father-daughter. Fu Shizai cast a deep, burning gaze at her. Flustered, she suggested, how about, I'll be the mom, and you'll be the Fu Shizai sighed helplessly. Let's just do this. Get on. The engine roared. Vroom, vroom. Enley forced herself to forget the awkwardness, filled with anticipation for the new experience. I wonder how the VR version is different from the arcade game I used to play. It's been so long. Suddenly, there was a click sound, and she turned around, puzzled. Fu Shizai carefully explained, it'll be a bit bumpy. Put your feet here, and you need to fasten your seatbelt. He leaned down and said, let me help you. Her imagination suddenly ran wild, picturing herself being strapped in, feeling dizzy. He's fastening my seatbelt. A moment later, she came back to her senses and replied, okay, thank you. Her inner voice screamed, snap out of it. What are you thinking? Her cheeks were burning, so she fanned herself to cool down. Fu Shizai gently fastened the seatbelt. Her gaze lingered on him, mesmerized. He's thin, but not the frail kind of thin. What word did Chi use? Well-proportioned. Suddenly, he looked up and asked, is it too tight? She shook her head frantically. No, it's just right. Her inner self struggled. Enley, do you want to die? He's kindly fastening your seatbelt and you're spacing out, drooling over his face. Her eyes widened in alarm. Wait, why isn't anything happening yet? Fu Shizai said professionally, as always, Teacher Enley, we can begin now. She came to her senses. Oh, okay. She put on the VR glasses and gasped in shock. What the heck is this thing? She entered the virtual world and saw the scene of him driving, stunned. Because it's parent-child mode, we have to ride the same motorcycle. Her face flushed again. This is too realistic. Not only am I on Fu Shizai's motorcycle, but I'm sitting so close. Enley awkwardly shifted back. The system suddenly prompted, little one, hold on tight to daddy, or you'll fall off. She was speechless, utterly dumbfounded. Fu Shizai tilted his head and asked, ready. She stared at a certain part of him, knowing it was just a game. But the visuals were too realistic, so real that she didn't even dare to hold him, as the electronic voice instructed. Can I just hold on to your clothes? The vehicle quickly started up, buzzing loudly. The sight of monsters rushing towards them was too realistic. She couldn't adapt for a moment. This isn't good. Playing this game as a kid was fine, but now with the VR headset, the monsters are practically in my face. She screamed with wide eyes. The monsters are coming. The vehicle sped through the wind, and she clung to him in terror. Suddenly, the vehicle landed. Enley secretly opened one eye. She shyly glanced at his back, taking in his handsome figure, and consoled herself. It's just a game anyway. It's okay to hug him, right? She stretched out her arms without hesitation and wrapped them around his waist. At that moment, a rare smile bloomed on Fu Shizai's face. Receiving the girl's embrace was like getting a 100% energy boost. He slammed on the accelerator and sped off. After a few rounds, the game time was up. Congratulations on clearing the stage. Fu Shizai coolly extended his hand. Was the game settlement interface so cute because of the parent-child mode? As he lifted her down from the vehicle, she suddenly remembered that players could automatically take screenshots as souvenirs. During the short journey over mountains and valleys, Enley looked at her small hands and mustered all her courage to take his hand. Under her gaze, he gently held her hand. She thought happily, keeping the scene in my heart is like taking a screenshot, right? Fu Shizai slowly took off his VR glasses. An electronic voice announced, game over. Please keep your personal belongings safe and leave in an orderly manner. He asked emotionlessly, want to play again? Enley happily refused. No, that's enough, thank you. It was already dark in Enley's apartment. While doing laundry, she video called Dang Chuki. Dang Chuki listened to her recount her first day's experience and excitedly asked, so you played games with Josh or his uncle on your first day? Did he show any signs of caring about you? Though looking at his cold face, I don't think he knows how to take care of others. She put the clothes into the washing machine and replied, it was just a game. He was probably just enjoying himself. She pressed the button and continued, but he's quite considerate. 2 days ago, he came to our school. Fu Jianshu and I went to watch a soccer game, and he was afraid I'd be left out, so he brought me along. Dang Chucky rested her chin in her hand and said with interest, "Oh, the cold on the outside, warm on the inside type. But do you understand soccer?" She listened attentively to her rambling and suddenly said, "I remember, didn't you participate in a robot soccer competition? So you must know the rules, right?" I became interested in robot soccer and stuff after watching a video about it in my first year of high school. In your second year, you secretly signed up for a technology class and got scolded by your dad. Hearing this, she reminisced sadly. One weekend, during her first year of high school, Enley placed a robot on the floor in the corner. It wasn't very good-looking, with a gray body and round yellow eyes. She manipulated the device in her hand, but the robot reacted slowly, often requiring several seconds of pushing in one direction before it would slowly crawl. She sat down and stared at the robot all day. Forget pushing rocks, just walking is hard enough. Sigh, how can I win like this? How can I prove myself to my dad? Yinli felt very frustrated, flicked its head with her finger, and complained, "Why are you so stupid?" Beep! Suddenly, a voice caught her attention. Excuse me, sorry to bother you." She looked up and saw a tall, thin male classmate who looked somewhat familiar. He said, "My friend and I were passing by today. He's a little shy, so he didn't come over." Yunli followed his pointed finger and looked toward the other side of the auditorium. A male classmate sat alone on the steps. He continued, "We've been sitting here all day, watching you fiddle with this robot." She looked away and instinctively replied quickly, "I'm not fiddling with it, I'm training it." The male classmate scratched his head sheepishly. Oh, sorry. But this robot is quite cute. Did you make it yourself?" She didn't say a word, staring at him warily. Did this guy suddenly come over to spy for another team? Yin Li's eyes suddenly widened. She noticed a card in the male classmate's pocket, a technology class pass. So he wasn't a competitor, but an outstanding student from Western Institute of Technology, specially invited by the school to be the captain of the technology team for this technology class. She breathed a sigh of relief, thinking, "I thought he was here to spy." The male classmate suddenly reached into his pocket, fumbled around for a while, and took out a small ball with a strange, smiley face drawn on it. The male classmate placed it in front of her robot. "Look, isn't this more reasonable? Try again." Yinli nodded in surprise. "Okay." She manipulated the controller, and the stupid robot that hadn't taken more than 2 steps all morning suddenly stopped when pushing the ball. The male classmate looked a little embarrassed, and Yinli was momentarily speechless. Suddenly, he cheerfully extended his hand. "Why don't you give me the controller, and I'll give it a try?" After hesitating for a long time, Yinli handed the controller over. "Then be careful, don't break it." He enthusiastically instructed, "You can adjust the angle before operating, otherwise it will get stuck like before." Meanwhile, the other male classmate smiled, his eyes fixed on the two of them. A moment later, the robot successfully pushed the small ball, and Yinli cheered happily. "Wow, it worked." "That wasn't easy." He advised, "Since it's working now, you can study what I just said. I'll be going now." She picked up the small ball. "Wait, I haven't thanked you yet." The boy had already walked quite a distance. She vaguely saw the lettering on his back. Uniqua, the champion team of the robotics competition. A person suddenly popped into her mind. Could he be here too? Yinli stood up, wanted to chase after him. Ultimately, she just watched their backs from afar. The two were of similar height, wearing the same jackets. The memory ended. Deng Chue had also finished her work. She said excitedly, "I'm going to take a shower first. You rest for a bit. Contact me if you need anything." Yinli happily agreed. "Okay, Chucky, you're the best." Yinli sprawled on the sofa, thinking, although my ranking in this competition wasn't high, I still won a small prize. She thought of the trophy and the small ball and sighed. The prize and the small ball were both up there. But suddenly she froze, thinking, where's the robot? She sat up and immediately took out her phone to call Yunyi. He answered the phone, sounding like he had just taken a shower. "I wonder if the sun is rising from the west. You're actually contacting me on your own initiative," she said with difficulty. "I have something." Yinli got straight to the point. "Do you remember that robot soccer competition I participated in high school? I brought the robot back afterward, right? It should be in my room. Help me find it and send it to me sometime." He casually replied, "Got it." She urged, "Stop talking, just help me find it." Yunyi obediently went to look for it, still complaining, "Why are you looking for this stuff in the middle of the night?" Feeling nostalgic. "I think I found it. Look, he held out a robot. Is it this one?" She confirmed, "Yes. Tell Mom for me." Yunyi asked again, "Okay, when are you coming back? Are you really going to have a showdown with the family?" She didn't pay attention to what he was saying. Her eyes widened, as if she had seen something, and she said anxiously, "I'll wait. Send the blue letter in the bag and the small ball next to the cup too." Yinli agreed to everything. Okay, so when are you coming home? Hearing this, she evaded the question. We'll talk about it when I get home. Bye. He grumbled discontentedly. Wow, what an ungrateful woman. The next day, she still went to work at EAW. Yinli slowly walked into the break room. She had heard that the first thing to do at the company was to get a glass of water, and the second thing was to go to the bathroom. It seemed to be like that. She wondered what was on the agenda for today. She quickly turned on the light and immediately noticed someone on the sofa. Was it Fu Shizai? As soon as the light came on, she saw him placing a glass of water on the table. Yinli tiptoed closer. Had he been here all night? Why didn't he go home to sleep? Taking this opportunity, she carefully admired his handsome face. It was the same the first time she saw him at EAW, curled up on the sofa, sleeping restlessly. Yinli picked up the jacket next to him and carefully covered him with it. There were so many things she didn't understand about this person. He always drew her in, even though she might get hurt. Suddenly, the phone on the table rang, and Fu Shizai slowly opened his eyes. Embarrassed, she clumsily dropped the jacket. He looked indifferent, closed his eyes, and continued to sleep. Taking the opportunity, she pulled the jacket back up and covered him. Yinli wondered blankly. He fell asleep again. So was he awake just now? She thought sadly, logic tells me I should withdraw my feelings and not continue, but I've never been a logical person. Is that so? Having finished her thought, she turned to leave. So just be brave this once. When there was no one else around, he slowly opened his eyes. Outside, Yinli's mood was a mess. Afraid of disturbing the sleeping person inside, she tiptoed to close the door, each step taken cautiously. Suddenly, a voice startled her. Good morning, Teacher Yinli. Jiameng walked over with a cup in her hand. I have a business trip today, so I just came to get a glass of water before I go. Yinli awkwardly tried to stop her. There's someone sleeping inside. Jiameng sighed. Forget it then. Looks like I won't be able to freeload off the company today. Jiameng playfully nudged Yinli's shoulder. But Teacher Yinli, why is your face so red? Don't tell me the person sleeping inside is a handsome guy. She started to imagine. Wow, sleeping beauty. Yinli, sweating, explained, it's just a little stuffy in the break room. She nodded, pretending to believe her. Oh, I see. Yinli immediately found an excuse to slip away. Aren't you going on a business trip? Be careful on the road. I'll go to the office first. She called out enthusiastically. Hey, wait. Let me give you a heads up. She leaned in and whispered. That girl named Dugafei is back in our company. Apparently, her parents and the boss's parents were elementary school classmates. They're even using that kind of connection. Jiameng reminded her. I can't say much about her. Just be careful. Back in the office, Yinli found her seat occupied. She reminded Dugafei, this is my seat. The girl sat motionless in the chair, examining her eyelashes in a mirror. I started yesterday, she said. They said our internship hours are staggered, so whoever's working gets the seat. Yinli suppressed her anger and asked, what if the hours overlap? She replied nonchalantly, Sister Chin said you're nice and wouldn't fight me for a seat. Dugafei looked at her, blinking. Hey, I remember you interviewed for the tech department that day. Why are you in HR now? Did they reject you? She continued, don't be too upset. It's all just work. If you don't have the skills, don't take on the job. Hearing this, Yinli's face darkened. Just as the tension reached its peak, a middle-aged man walked over. Oh, you two are here early. Dugafei stood up to greet him. Morning, Brother Chin. The newcomer was Qin Haifeng, a full-time employee in the HR department. He turned to Yinli and asked, by the way, Yinli, Fei is also interning now. You two will probably only be working together on Fridays. There are still empty seats in the break room. You two can work it out. Okay, the two-faced girl replied. Brother Chin, Lily is very nice. She said she'd give me the seat, right? But Dugafei didn't expect that Yinli wouldn't back down at all. Not all, she said directly. This seat was arranged for me by Sister Jiameng and Sister Yuning. If I remember correctly, my direct supervisor is Sister Yuning, right? Please move. Elsewhere, Shu Qingtong looked at him leisurely. You didn't go home last night. Fu Shizai replied indifferently. Seeing his poor complexion, Shu Qingtong pressed. What's wrong? You look like you had a nightmare. He didn't answer, just lowered his head, nervously rubbing the paper in his hand. In his dream, he had kissed Yinli. Why would he dream of her? Fu Shizai threw the paper into the trash can and casually replied, it wasn't exactly a nightmare. He propped his chin on his hand and asked curiously, what did you dream about? Tell me. He leaned back on the sofa, looking like he didn't want to answer, and reached for his phone. Shu Qingtong teased, "Don't tell me it was about a woman." His hand paused, and he put his phone back in his pocket. Shu Qingtong guessed, "Huh, really? You had a spring dream." His face suddenly flushed, and he remained silent. Chu Feng rubbed his head wearily. "This morning, I passed by the office and saw Qin Haifeng and Du Gafei trying to steal Yin Li's seat. I'm such a failure. I can't even guarantee her a seat. I've already had Xiao He rearrange things." He asked with concern what happened after that. He crossed his arms and shook his head. "It didn't turn into a big fight, but I didn't expect Yin Li to be so tough. Those two didn't get the better of her." Fu Shizai unconsciously imagined her with wide eyes and open mouth, trying to suppress a smile. He thought to himself, "This little rabbit is quite cute when she bites." At this moment, Chu Feng hadn't given up, continuing to press him. "The dream you just had, aren't you going to tell your bro?" He looked at him blankly. Yin Li dragged her exhausted body into the break room. She sighed wearily, a mountain of tasks weighing her down. "Yin Li, print this notice for me. Extract the important information from these personnel files. Don't submit everything. It's your turn to get lunch with someone else. Remember to be quick. Don't make everyone wait." Yin Li, oh Yin Li. The seat incident really offended Qin Haifeng. He's been making things difficult for me all morning, making a fuss over every little mistake. She sighed listlessly. Is this the reality of office life? Suddenly, Fu Shizai walked in. Startled, she turned her head. What a coincidence, always running into him in the break room. Yin Li suddenly averted her gaze, guiltily. He probably didn't notice me peeking at him sleeping this morning, right? Ugh, peeking at someone sleeping, where's my conscience? Where are my morals? Fu Shizai pressed the water dispenser button and leaned against the counter, waiting for the water to slowly fill his cup. The silence was deafening, broken only by the dripping water. He picked up his cup and was about to leave when she spoke. Your coffee smells really good." He stopped and tilted his head, asking, "Do you want some?" Yin Li mustered her courage and nodded. She asked awkwardly, "Is that okay?" He replied indifferently, "Sure." As soon as he finished speaking, he pressed the water dispenser button again. He asked, "Do you want sugar?" Yin Li didn't drink coffee at all and froze at the question. "Do you like sugar?" He simply asked. She hesitated for a moment, then finally made up her mind. "Then, I don't like it either." Under his probing gaze, she emphasized again, "I really don't like it." Fu Shizai didn't ask any further questions and handed her the coffee. "Here." She took it excitedly. "Thank you." Just after one sip, as the liquid touched her lips, Yin Li frowned. It was so bitter. Did he really like drinking something this bitter? He sipped his own coffee, looking at her thoughtfully. She completely wilted. It was really bitter. Maybe she should add some sugar. Fu Shizai teased. "So, you really don't like sugar?" Yin Li took the sugar packet from him, her cheeks flushing as she explained, I just wanted to try a different flavor." He didn't call her out in the end, only softly saying, "Oh, is that so?" Having said that, he put his hands in his pockets and turned to leave. "I'm going out." She replied softly, "Oh, okay." Yin Li quickly added sugar to her coffee. Staring at the cup, she thought, it shouldn't be so bitter now, right? It was already noon. Yin Li dragged her feet out of the office, having barely rested all morning. She still had to pick up the lunchboxes later. Should she message Fu Shizai or go directly to him? She glanced inside, wanted to see if he had taken his lunch, when suddenly a loud voice rang out. Qin Haifeng, with a stern face, ordered her, "Yin Li, take this document to your direct supervisor." Du Gafei stood beside him, sneering, "Such authority." She frowned and retorted, "It's already lunchtime." He was completely unreasonable, immediately snapping, "So you don't have to work during lunch break." Under his tyrannical pressure, she reluctantly picked up the document. There was also a lunchbox. She decided to put it in the break room first. They left triumphantly, leaving her standing there alone. After delivering the document, Yin Li went to the break room. She wondered, was I wrong? She muttered sadly, newcomers shouldn't talk back to their seniors, or they'll be given a hard time. But I was clearly in the right about the seat. As soon as she walked in, she bumped into Fu Shizai. He glanced indifferently at the lunchbox on the table and asked abruptly, "Have you eaten?" She answered awkwardly, yes. "Have you?" Fu Shizai walked slowly to the water dispenser. "I've eaten too. I'm going to make some coffee." At that moment, the room was silent, except for the dripping sound of the coffee machine. Yin Li approached him and asked, "Did you pick up the lunch boxes by yourself today?" "I'm sorry." I was too busy this morning. I was planning to call you after I was done. He simply replied, "It's fine," and then left. She stared fixedly at the lunchbox on the table. She looked back at him again. Could it be that he hadn't eaten and wanted to leave this lunch for her? Her stomach growled loudly. She was starving. She'd eat it first and think later. Enley picked up the lunchbox, cautiously looking left and right. Once at the door, she quickly slipped out of the break room and headed straight for the stairwell. Enley found a corner and sat down, opening the lunchbox. She sighed. Working really wasn't fun at all. Seeing the rice with eggs and meat, she finally felt a little comforted. Just as she was about to put the food in her mouth, she suddenly stopped. Fu Shizai was not far away, gnawing on a piece of bread. Confused, she thought, didn't Fu Shizai say he had already eaten? He walked over without a word and sat down beside her. She said awkwardly, "I'm a little hungry today, so I'm having a second lunch." Fu Shizai didn't call her out. He quietly looked at the bread in his hand and softly replied, He silently placed a cup of coffee down. Enley raised an eyebrow at him. "For me." Fu Shizai took a sip and then said warmly, "It's a gift." She accepted it, feeling a little elated. Maybe working wasn't so bad after all. A few days later, at EAW, Enley was plainly dressed. She coughed a few times. After only a few days at work, not only had she been given a hard time, but now she had a cold. While drinking water, she remembered her best friend's words. Could Chi-Chi really have been right? Was this company incompatible with her? Perhaps she should go home early and take another dose of cold medicine. Just as she was about to grab her bag and leave, Qin Haifeng walked over. "Finish processing this pile of documents and email them to me tonight." Her cheeks flushed, and she replied hoarsely, "But it's almost time to get off work." Cough, cough, cough. But he ignored her, pretending not to hear. Dejected, she let out a long sigh. Just like that, time ticked by, the clock passing 8 o'clock in the evening. She glanced in Qin Haifeng's direction, comforting herself. Fine, at least he was willing to stay and work overtime with her. He must really be swamped. But when she looked closely, she immediately realized he was lying to her, because he wasn't busy at all. He was just sitting there playing games. She glared resentfully at the pile of documents. He had been targeting her since last week. A senior in the department shouldn't bully people like this, should they? Thinking this, Enley abruptly stood up, but before she could do anything, she froze. Fu Shizai had appeared out of nowhere, standing behind Qin Haifeng. His voice was low as he asked, having fun. Qin Haifeng's face paled, and he hurriedly covered the screen. "Mr. Fu, I was just..." But when he realized he had mistaken Enley for someone else, his eyes widened. "Why is it you?" Fu Shizai raised an eyebrow, not continuing the question. Qin Haifeng brushed his words aside, snapping, "Mind your own business." Without a word, Fu Shizai snapped a couple photos of him, then threatened, "Post it to the group chat." He even opened the group chat interface, scrolling through each group to show Qin Haifeng. "Which group should I post it in?" Qin Haifeng yelled exasperatedly, "I'll go back to work now, alright." Having dealt with that, Fu Shizai slowly walked towards her. "Let's go." Enley quickly said, "I haven't finished my work yet." Hearing this, Fu Shizai glanced at Qin Haifeng. He's been resting for several hours now. Isn't it time for him to take over his shift? Qin Haifeng's face turned green. He stammered, "Yes, Xiaoyan, you can go now." Only then did she leave with Fu Shizai, her voice thick with congestion. "Thank you for just now." He casually asked, "Do you have a cold?" She was surprised. "How did you know?" Fu Shizai looked at her and explained, "Xiao Kongqin called your friend Deng Chuki, saying you had a bad cold and hadn't replied to messages for a long time. She was worried you'd fainted." Hearing this, she wanted to crawl into a hole, panicked that her friend would find her. Fumbling for her phone, she asked, "You didn't tell her I came to the company, did you?" "I promised her I'd take the day off." He immediately said, "I didn't need to tell her." Enley's eyes widened, her mouth agape. Fu Shizai opened WeChat and handed her his phone. On it was a string of messages from Fu Jianshu. "Uncle, my mom called and said Sister Lily has a high fever and hasn't replied to messages for a long time. I'm standing outside her door now. I've been knocking for ages and no one's answering. Uncle, do you think something happened to Sister Lily? I can't find the property manager and I've already called a locksmith. They're almost here. She's not home. If she has a fever, why isn't she resting at home? Uncle, is this considered breaking and entering? I even lifted her quilt. Will she think I'm gay? Don't tell her, okay." After reading it, she was speechless. "I was planning to go straight home after work, but there was an urgent task, so I stayed to finish it. I was just thinking about going home early after finishing and forgot to check my phone. How did everyone find out?" Suddenly, his phone chimed with a message notification. It was from Fu Jianshu. He said anxiously, "Uncle, could Sister Lily have fainted on the way? Should we call the police? She grabbed his arm in fear, pleading, no, 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 don't tell him. Fu Shizai took back his phone and asked, tell him what? Flustered, she blurted out, tell him we're together now. Hearing this, he looked at her with a helpless expression. Enley blushed, glancing anxiously at Fu Shizai. Give me your phone, I'll tell Fu Jianchu. Taking the phone, she quickly typed, she's with me, I'll take her home later. The reply came, Roger that, uncle. Fu Shizai broke out in a cold sweat, thinking her explanation had only made things worse. After sending the message, she innocently returned the phone. Thanks for your phone. He turned and asked, let's go, I'll drive you home. Cary Parkside isn't far from the company. She suddenly refused. I won't walk home. So the two walked together. The city nightscape was particularly beautiful at this moment. To break the tense atmosphere, she started a conversation. Wow, it's so lively. Are you here to shop? He replied indifferently. No. She paused, surprised. Huh. Suddenly, a middle-aged man waved enthusiastically at them. Beautiful lady, handsome man, need anything. Hee hee, 15 a box, cheap, 1 a box. She exclaimed in delight. Wow, they even sell sparklers at the night market. He took the opportunity to say, Mister, buy a box for the young lady. Our sparklers are perfect for fairies. Enley shyly took out her phone. I'll buy it myself, just 1 box. I'll scan the code. She looked up and suggested, do you want to play? They're fun. Even though I'm not feeling great, I can play with you. Fu Shizai didn't refuse. Let's go. Enley, and he came to an open space, holding sparklers. She murmured, I can't even remember the last time I played with fireworks. She reminisced wistfully. When I was little, during the Mid-Autumn Festival, I would use the money I'd saved for half a year to buy lots of fireworks. I was planning to take my younger brother to play with them, but my uncle confiscated them all. My brother cried for a long time, saying, this is the money my sister worked so hard to save. You'll make her sad if you take it. She turned to him. Can I borrow your lighter? Suddenly, he said, come closer. Hearing this, she widened her eyes in surprise. She imagined him leaning towards her, a little closer. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward, both of them silent as the grave. He added with a straight face, the sparkler, come closer. She finally came to her senses and handed it over. Oh. She held her breath as he lit the lighter, but he suddenly took it from her hand. Fu Shizai carefully lit the sparkler. It quickly burst into sparks, a beautiful sight. He handed it to her. Here, hold it. She happily took it. It's so pretty. Enley used it to draw lively patterns in the air, but it burned out in a flash. She rubbed her nose sheepishly. I didn't finish drawing it yet. I was almost done with a masterpiece. Before she could finish speaking, he lit another one. TSSS. He handed it to her, his words brief but warm. Try again. Enley asked curiously, have you played with these before? He nodded slightly. Yeah, with friends when I was little. Was it Suzong? Fu Shizai's expression darkened, and he lowered his head in response. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. The fountain is about to light up. She sat down quietly and said, the only friend I had in my childhood was my younger brother. She stared at Fu Shizai with wide eyes. He now exuded an indescribable loneliness. He was fine just now. Why the sudden change? Was he bored? Seeing this, she suggested, it's getting late. Let's go back to the apartment complex. He agreed. Okay. A few days later, at Enley's apartment, Dang Chi-Chi and her friends gathered at her door, chattering. I told you. That company is just out to get you. How can a small cold cause such a long fever? She gestured excitedly. Today's hot pot is, firstly, to celebrate your recovery, and secondly, to get rid of bad luck for you. Xia Kongqing added with a smile. It's more lively with more people. Don't find us annoying. She replied happily. Judgia, don't say that. I'm super happy you guys could come. Enley became excited and started shaking Dang Chi-Chi. I knew you were worried about me. You even came to take care of me last weekend. I have to treat you today. The two embraced affectionately. Fu Jianchu called for help from behind. Sister Li, help me out. He then took out a gift box and handed it to her. Fu Jianchu scratched his head sheepishly. Sister Li, last time was a complete accident. Please don't take it to heart. She replied casually. Consider yourself lucky I didn't change the locks. Thanks for making the trip. He rambled on. Oh, it's nothing. Try the chocolates. It's an apology for last time. We also brought some things. Fu Shizai placed 2 bottles of wine on the table. But older people are different. They prefer baijiu. A playful smile tugged at the corner of his lips, a hint of rebelliousness and ease in his demeanor. She gazed at him, thinking that he seemed much happier today compared to when they last parted ways. She breathed a sigh of relief and blurted out, "Now I can finally relax." After everything was ready, Dang Chi-Chi cheerfully shouted, "All right, let's get started." She rolled up her sleeves and said, "Get ready, let's move. I've been working all day. I'm starving." She gestured with her hands, giving directions. "You two go wash the vegetables, judge ya, and I will prepare the other things." Fu Jianshu replied seriously, "Roger that, mission accepted." They quickly prepared the basins for the vegetables. Fu Jianshu looked around boredly. "Whoa, you have so much stuff in your kitchen. You could open a shop." Enley explained, "Every food blogger's home is like this, of course." Suddenly, Fu Shizai asked her, "Do you know how to prepare these?" She nodded, "Yes." He casually requested, "Teach me." Enley transformed into a teacher, patiently instructing him. Remove the old roots and then divide them into suitable lengths. Throw away the yellow leaves. He learned incredibly fast, getting it right on the first try. She glanced over and said with a smile, "Correct." Enley seized the opportunity and proudly suggested, "If you need to learn other vegetable preparation techniques, I can also make a video tutorial." After preparing vegetables for a while, Fu Jianshu said happily, "Preparing vegetables isn't fun, Sister Chi-Chi. I'm going to the kitchen to help the other ladies." Just then, the weather being very hot, he took off his jacket. She shyly extended her hand towards him. "Give it to me. There are no hangers in the living room. I'll find a place to hang it for you." He said indifferently, "Thank you." Enley carefully hung up his jacket, her cheeks flushed, staring at the garment. It had a sweet citrus and floral scent, probably from the laundry detergent. It was Fu Shizai's scent. Suddenly, a voice startled her. "Li, are you done? Can we eat?" She immediately replied, "Coming." And just like that, his jacket was neatly placed in her wardrobe. After a fierce battle with the food, Enley busied herself cleaning up. Was it delicious? "I made extra. I'll pack some for you to take home." Dang Chi-Chi, slightly tipsy, flattered her sweetly. Being friends with a food blogger is amazing. "Li, I want to be with you forever." After dinner, he was assigned to wash the dishes, while Fu Jianshu kept exclaiming beside him, "Uncle, my ex-girlfriend dumped me after seeing you come back. Why is my life so miserable?" Dang Chi-Chi, fueled by gossip, blurted out, "What did your uncle steal from your girlfriend?" Enley reminded her, "Chi-Chi, are you drunk too?" He lazily pushed Fu Jianshu's face away as Fu Jianshu continued to ramble. "It's not like that. They said they were afraid they wouldn't be resolute enough and would give in later. They also felt they weren't good enough, that uncle wouldn't like them." Suddenly, his gaze shifted to her, and he burst into laughter. "Hee, Sisterly Li, you're pretty. Uncle likes you." Unable to bear it any longer, he pushed Fu Jianshu's head down. Seeing this, Xia Kongqing scolded, "You're like this after just a little alcohol. How embarrassing." He struggled to cover Fu Jianshu's mouth as Xia Kongqing hurriedly left. "Li, we're leaving." Who knows how much longer Fu Jianshu will be acting crazy. Suddenly, she called out to him, "Wait a minute," and handed him his coat. "Your coat." Fu Shizai reached out and took it without saying much. He said, "Take care and get well soon." Just then, night fell. Enley brushed her teeth while scrolling through her phone, anxiously thinking. Everyone else had messaged saying they were home, but there was no word from him. She typed on her keyboard, but halfway through, she hesitated and deleted everything. Ugh, forget it. Enley sighed dramatically. Why is it so hard to chase someone? A few days later, at her apartment, Dang Chi-Chi came over to visit and sprawled on the sofa, watching videos. "Oh, this video of yours is trending." She looked up curiously and asked, "But why did you suddenly decide to fix that third-rate robot?" "It's not because Fu Shizai took you to that soccer match, which reminded you of that old soccer-playing robot, right? What kind of youthful nostalgia is this? Or are you reminiscing about some random guy from the past?" Annoyed, Enley clenched her fists and then coldly stuffed an apple into Dang Chi-Chi's mouth. "Ouch." She sat down sullenly. "Eat. You talk too much." Dang Chi-Chi eagerly took a bite of the apple, grinning mischievously. Suddenly, Dang Chi-Chi held her phone up to Enley. "Oh, right. Have you seen Judge's Moments? It looks like they're having a family gathering today. So many people." Xia Kongqing, whose name sounded like summer, posted an update. "Grandma said she wants to have a grand birthday party this year." Below was a family photo. Enley thought, is it Fu Shizai's mother's birthday? She widened her eyes in amazement. That family dinner looks so formal. After finishing the apple, Dang Chi-Chi chattered on, maybe Jejia said Fu Shizai's parents are both science professors at the university, but they're super fun-loving, even more so than Fu Shizai's like they're in their 20s. She teased, a scholarly family. Even their in-laws will talk to you about the Tao Te Ching. Enley pondered seriously, zooming in on the photo, and cautiously reminded her, don't talk nonsense. Until she saw the girl next to Fu Shizai's. She turned to Dang Chi-Chi and asked, don't you think the girl next to Fu Shizai's is very close to Xia Xia's uncle? Dang Chi-Chi also recognized the girl and replied, Lin Wanin. She practices piano with Xia Xia. I've met her. She's tall and slender, speaks softly and gently. Enley recalled the message she had seen from Lin Wanin before. A's, my mom made you some zongzi. She asked me to bring them to you. She froze, thinking, Lin Wanin, isn't she the one who messaged Fu Shizai's last time? Enley began to recount the incident. Last time I accidentally saw Fu Shizai's phone, she sent over 100 messages. Dang Chi-Chi's eyes widened. Who sent them to whom? Enley said slowly, Lin Wanin sent them to Fu Shizai's, but they were all unread. Dang Chi-Chi waved her hand confidently, then muttered, then don't worry. Look, Xia Xia's uncle didn't even read her messages. Dang Chi-Chi leaned closer, pressing Li, do you like Fu Shizai's? Enley awkwardly avoided the question. Why are you asking this? Dang Chi-Chi frowned, chattering. She sent over 100 messages before. Who knows? Maybe there are 1,000 now. How many messages do you send when you open your phone at night? You're not doing anything. Is that what you call liking someone? Enley shrank back, her voice timid. I asked for his contact information before, and he didn't give it to me. Even if I message him, he might not reply. Dang Chi-Chi immediately snatched Enley's phone, arguing, that was before, this is now. You've all been hanging out together for so long like family. Here, if you want to pursue him, take action. Don't forget, you're his lifesaver. Anyway, we're video calling Jejia's family today. Enley panicked. Oh no. Dang Chi-Chi ignored her and reminded her, your hair is messy. But her hair wasn't messy at all. Hearing this, she still carefully tidied her appearance because she cared too much about how she looked in Fu Shizai's size. She worried, will he answer? Fu Shizai's might be home too. What should I say? Suddenly, Fu Jianshu answered the call. Hey, Sister Li, Sister Chi-Chi. My sister's phone is here. Are you looking for her? He looked around and replied, but where did she run off to? Dang Chi-Chi casually asked, nothing much. Are you guys still eating? It looks pretty lively over there. He stood up innocently and nodded. Yeah, it's Grandma's birthday. My uncle and Ching Song are here too. Do you want to say hi? Wait for me. I'll go get them. Enley panicked. Say hi. How could it be so sudden? Dang Chi-Chi frowned, laying out her logic. You speak Chinese, he speaks Chinese. There's no communication barrier between you two. Why can't you say hi? Both of them became nervous, staring intently at the phone. Fu Jianshu's voice came from the other end. Uncle, Ching Song, come meet some guests. The camera quickly turned to the two of them. Fu Shizai glanced over coldly and said, turn off the camera. Fu Jianshu pouted and quickly swiped the phone away. Who's filming you, uncle? I'm video chatting with Sister Li. Hearing this, Fu Shizai's expression changed. He quickly stubbed out his cigarette and even deliberately straightened his tie. Fu Jianshu casually draped his arm over Fu Shizai's shoulder and then held up the phone. Uncle, say hi. Enley stiffly said, long time no see. He replied indifferently, As soon as she finished speaking, Enley immediately berated herself. Oh my God, what am I even saying? We just saw each other a few days ago. On the other end, he just held the phone without saying another word. The two stared at each other, the atmosphere becoming indescribably awkward. Shu Qingtong took the phone and said, I heard Tang, you opened a bar. It's called Overtime, I think. Want to go check it out? Fu Jianshu said excitedly, it's too late. I have class tomorrow. But he teased. He didn't say he was taking you. Fu Jianshu's voice came through. No way, I want to go too. Sister Li, we have to go now. We'll call you back later. This made Enley and Dang Chi-Chi break out in a cold sweat. She awkwardly asked, are you going to overtime? Her next words stunned Dang Chi-Chi. We're going over later too. I heard it's really popular. Do you want us to save you a spot? It's Sunday today. There's definitely going to be a lot of people. Dang Chi-Chi pointed at herself blankly. Who's going? Me. Hearing this, Fu Jianshu became even more excited. Okay, thanks, Sister Li. The short 10-minute call finally ended. Enley collapsed onto the sofa and sighed. Chasing someone is so tiring. Dang Chi-Chi twitched the corner of her mouth and asked, are we really going to save them a spot later? Dang Chi-Chi pouted and teased, You're going even though you don't even know what overtime is. Enley shyly tapped her phone. Can I look it up on the map? Just like that, she and Dang Chi-Chi set off. Across from Shangwan Plaza, half an hour drive. Let's go. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at Overtime Bar. A large group of people were gathered in the private room. Fu Jianchu happily raised his glass. Thanks, Sisterly Li, Sister Chi-Chi, for saving us a spot. Everyone else also raised their beers. Cheers. She awkwardly explained, we just wanted to come ourselves. It was just by the way. As she spoke, she took a sip of her drink. The liquid immediately made her frown. This drink is too strong. No wonder my glass is only 1/3 full. Shu Qingtong raised his hand. I'm going to say hi to Tang Yin. You guys have fun? Fu Shizai also stood up and followed. But when they reached the bar, he sat down alone. Seeing this scene, Dang Chi-Chi had an idea, wanted to call her over. The opportunity is here, why not seize it? She immediately made an excuse to leave. This drink is too strong. I'm going to the bar to order another one. Enley slowly approached. Before she could finish speaking, a beautiful girl walked over. Handsome, can you buy me a drink? Seeing this shocking scene, she became anxious and flustered. Fu Shizai remained aloof, not even glancing at her. But the girl didn't give up, resting her chin on her hand and sitting down beside him, leaning in close and asking in a flirtatious tone. So is that a yes? Enley couldn't stand it anymore and, mustering all her courage, said, wait a minute. He turned to look at her. He was surprised. The girl also provocatively turned her gaze to Enley. Little girl, you'd better think this through, understand. Her mind raced, and she immediately responded with sound reasoning. He's my friend. We have a lot of people over there, and we're students. Enley continued to threaten, if you try to force my friend to buy you a drink, I'll call the police. Seeing her cute appearance, he smiled slightly. The girl was basically a little angry. How old are you? Still wanting to call the police. Then she cursed, childish, and turned to leave. She looked at his back, confused. Should I go back? But I just made an excuse to get another drink. Wouldn't it be obvious if I went back now? Fu Shizai was rolling dice. Suddenly, he patted the seat next to him. He tilted his head and said, sit here. Looking at the empty seats in the bar, Enley sat down beside him, but still shyly asked, why did you ask me to sit here? He slowly said, you're the first. She looked up curiously. The first to hit on you. He asked back, aren't you? She awkwardly picked up her phone and made another clumsy excuse. I'm not. I just came to order another drink, and I'll leave as soon as I get it. Then, wanted to save face, she retorted, besides, if you hadn't told me to sit here, I wouldn't be sitting here. You insisted. He took a dejected gulp of his drink and challenged her. Then help me block them. She paused, slightly taken aback. Wait, are a lot of people going to come hit on you? He casually replied, quite a few. Enley gripped her phone, deliberately probing him. I heard Chi-Chi say that some people come to bars, to look for someone. Are you guys here for that too? He stopped the dice cup on the table and asked with displeasure, you came here because of what Dang Chi-Chi said. She widened her eyes blankly. Huh? Resting his chin on his hand, he asked irritably, are you looking for someone? She awkwardly explained, I'm not. Enley immediately retorted, you can't answer a question with a question. Besides, I asked you first. He casually replied, I'm not. The atmosphere suddenly became tense, and her gaze darted away. Pointing to the dice cup, she changed the subject. How do you play this? He enthusiastically instructed, first, you use 2 dice, shake them, and then guess the total. Just then, a server came over. Miss, what would you like to drink? Then quickly handed her a long menu. She scanned it, thinking for a moment. So many options. Is there anything non-spicy? Fu Jianchu unexpectedly snatched the menu from her hand. He seemed to understand and ordered, get her something light. She stammered, thank you. The server quickly replied, okay, coming right up. Soon, her drink was ready, and she stirred it absently. Her eyes sparkled as she thought, according to what I just said, I should go back to my seat now. But she couldn't help but glance at Fu Jianchu. His face was a little flushed. She worried again. He was able to shake a dozen or so dice at the beginning, but now he could only shake 6 or 7. Had he drunk too much? She asked shyly, do you want to drink less? He hung his head and casually replied, it's okay. I'm in a bad mood. Hearing this, she raised her glass and clinked it against his. Then I'll drink with you. Enley suggested with a smile, are you in a bad mood? Do you want to go over there and play some games with them? He unexpectedly not agreed. Back at the table, Dang, Chi-Chi was slurring her words slightly. Since it's a two-person game, I want to be on a team with Xia. This was a big help to her. Fu Jianshu was also excited. Oh, Sister Chi-Chi, you actually abandoned Sister Li. What about Qing Tong? Hurry up, hurry up. Li tugged at his sleeve and whispered. Chi-Chi said she's going to team up with Jeje later. Can I not be on a team with Fu Jianshu? He asked, puzzled why. She explained, breaking out in a cold sweat. Fu Jianshu seems to like me. She wickedly prayed in her heart. I'm sorry, Fu Jianshu. I'll definitely apologize to you later. Just let me use you as an excuse tonight. He asked suspiciously. He likes you. Li nodded repeatedly in confirmation. This was all thanks to Fu Jianshu's excessive enthusiasm, constantly exclaiming, Sister Li is so beautiful, and Sister Li is so pretty. But he was still a little doubtful. Fu Jianshu had liked a girl named Tang Jiha since he was young, and he couldn't forget her even after a few relationships. Would he really like Li? Suddenly, he appeared out of nowhere, squeezing between the two and asking, have you decided yet? Sister Li, I'll be on your team. He said impatiently. Move. He scratched his head sheepishly and asked, giving way, does little bro want to be on Sister Li's team? Fine, whatever. But Qing Tong, don't hold us back, okay? Sit across from us. Otherwise, I'm afraid everyone will peek at my answers. He suggested. So everyone sat facing each other in pairs, placing their hands on their phones. Immediately, he wailed, oh my God, who suggested playing this math game? Isn't this just handing little bro the win? He operated his phone coldly, while many had already given up. This game is based on the number of questions answered correctly in the end, right? Fine, I give up. I concede half. She glanced at him secretly, thinking, how can he calculate so fast? Although my grades aren't top-notch, they're not bad either. Why am I always slower than him? Dumbfounded by the harsh reality, she frowned, focusing on the game. Stupid brain, calculate faster. The question appeared, 752 plus 288 equals. She murmured the answer was 1040, but he had already casually and effortlessly won his 39th victory. She was completely deflated. She was numb, speechless. She asked cautiously, her tone slightly aggrieved, can't you let me win a little? He froze, then awkwardly agreed. Then he watched quietly, waiting for her to finish calculating before leisurely selecting the answer, letting her win her 5th victory. She looked at him earnestly and sincerely. Fu Shizai, can you give me some face? But all he could do was remain helplessly silent. It wasn't until Fu Jianshu stretched, sighing dejectedly, ugh, I'm done with these brain-burning games. I want to play truth or dare, that the matter was finally dropped. He asked Enley, was someone hitting on my uncle just now? She answered truthfully, she just wanted to. Fu Jianshu then urged uncle, buy her a drink. He curled his lip arrogantly, thinking the woman was seriously overestimating herself. Fu Jianshu added, I bet my uncle's money is only for his future grandkids, or for Sister Li. Hearing the last part, Dang Chi-Chi interjected meaningfully, why not for me too? Are you discriminating against me? Fu Jianshu looked at her, blushing as he explained, no, it's not discrimination. Sister Li is so pretty. If she grew her hair long. Before he could finish, a peanut flew out of nowhere, hitting him in the forehead. He clutched his head in pain, asking, ow, ow, who sniped me? Fu Shizai patted his head and said, keep it down. You guys play? I'm going out for some air. He cradled his head, groaning. I feel like my IQ dropped 20 points. Qing Tong, do you think he's jealous of my intellect? Fu Shizai said, be quiet. Ignoring Fu Jianshu's rambling, he added, I need to make a phone call. Her eyes widened, a thought flashing through her mind. She excused herself, saying, I'm going to the restroom, and slipped out. Huddling into herself, she looked around. She was looking for someone, muttering to herself, he clearly came out after me. How far could he have gone in such a short time? Suddenly, a voice called out, Enley. She caught sight of his handsome figure. She slowly turned around, looking back at him. Their eyes met. Her gaze drifted downwards, noticing something else. The air was thick with the smell of smoke. The cigarette, but beside him, still burning. She guessed he had smoked quite a few. Was he still in a bad mood? She asked, have you been here the whole time? He answered softly, Fu Shizai paused, putting out a cigarette. He asked, were you looking for me? She nodded. Yes, you drank too much. I'll take you home. He said clearly, I'm smoking. So she turned and looked around for a suitable place to wait. Then let's go back after you're done. Go ahead and smoke. I'll wait for you over there, she said, pointing to a nearby tree. With that, she walked away with small steps. As she walked, she received a text from Dang Chi-Chi. OMG, the owner of this bar is so handsome. Where are you? If you saw him, I guarantee you'd forget Xia. Xia's uncle. She replied awkwardly, I'm very loyal. Only old flames, no new sparks. She observed him carefully, thinking, drowning sorrows in alcohol, numbing pain with cigarettes. Fu Shizai had tried both tonight. What could be bothering him so much? She looked at his listless appearance with concern, but could only sigh sadly. Are we even close? I can't ask. Another thought struck her belatedly. Did he just call me Enley again? Everyone else calls me Li. Why does he add my surname? She instantly lost herself in her thoughts. Fu Shizai glanced at her frequently, a little worried. The whole way from the bar here was full of drunk people. Given her personality, how did she manage to come here alone? He put the cigarette he had just picked up back down. He turned and walked towards her, coaxing, let's go home. She was fiddling with her hands as if trying to warm them, and asked blankly, finish smoking. Then she added thoughtfully, I looked it up, and there's a dessert shop nearby. They say sweet drinks help with hangovers. Want to go? He declined. No need. I didn't drink much. She explained, actually, it's because I had a little to drink, so I can't order takeout tonight. Come with me. It's not far. Just a few minutes walk. He immediately agreed. Let's go. She followed behind him. As they walked, they encountered a passed-out drunkard mumbling, wake up for a bit, then drink more. He said, come here, stay close to me. She obediently replied, oh. So she moved closer, following closely behind him. Through the glass doors, their figures in the winter night looked like a couple. Her face flushed, and she dared not look any longer. They quickly arrived at the shop. Is this enough for two? Let me know if you need anything. She politely said, thank you. He coolly twisted open a bottle of water. She offered, do you want to try this? I'll share half with you. He unceremoniously took some. She took a sip and said with displeasure, this drink. I think I'll keep the rest to myself. It's awful. He calmly asked, share half with me too. She was startled by his casualness. Yin Li quickly pushed the drink towards him. Pretending not to notice, she said, here, try it. She mentally pulled at her hair, berating herself. What if he finds out? What if he finds out? Yin Li slowly raised her own drink. Feigning nonchalance, she thought, let's see if he takes the bait. Thinking this, she worriedly pursed her lips. Fu Shizai rested his chin on his hand and declined, no, you drink it. She suddenly suggested ordering more food, saying she hadn't had dinner and was a little hungry. Suddenly remembering something, she mentioned a place that made good dry-fried beef noodles and turned to him, saying, wait a minute, I'll go buy some food. A moment later, she returned with a bag of food, only to freeze at the sight before her. Fu Shizai was gently feeding a small dog. He was affectionately stroking it, his expression softening considerably. Seeing this heartwarming scene, she couldn't help but smile. It was rare to see such tenderness from him. He was usually somewhat aloof, yet so gentle with the puppy. Fu Shizai suddenly turned his head. The puppy, seeing a stranger, quickly darted away. He called softly, finish eating before you go. Yin Li walked forward and placed the food on the table. Dang Chi just messaged me, saying she and Xia Jia have already gone back. He responded indifferently. He thoughtfully took a new pair of chopsticks, picked up some food, and placed it in a small bowl, then handed it to Yin Li. She was a little taken aback. For me, he simply replied, She awkwardly looked at the bag of food she had just bought. Then this is for you. He replied impassively, oh, thanks. Her heart was in turmoil under his intense gaze. Sigh, with him looking at me like this, how can I possibly eat? Yin Li pulled her chair over with some effort. Maybe it'll be better if I don't face him. He thoughtfully handed her a new pair of chopsticks. She asked with concern, you seem to have had a bit too much to drink. Do you want to go back and rest early? Fu Shizai replied gently, no, I want to stay a little longer. Suddenly, he looked at her with captivating eyes. I want to stay a little longer. Is that okay? Her heart pounded involuntarily. Then she shyly replied, if you're asking my opinion, then I also want to stay a little longer. He gazed at her silently, his eyes filled with drunken fascination. She looked up blankly, her pupils sparkling. Just like this. Their eyes met again. Fu Shizai blushed, averted his gaze, and then chuckled softly. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward, and both ate in silence. She thought, although it's already pretty good like this, I seem to be a bit greedy. By now, the city had sunk into the quiet of night. A small question sounded in the car, still awake. Fu Shizai looked absent-mindedly out the window. Shu Qingtong handed him a tissue and asked where to. Beishan, Fenglin. He shook his head. No, Jiangnan Courtyard. He propped his chin on his hand and teased. Tell me, how did you get that young lady to take care of you? An old drunkard. I already had the driver send her and Fu Jianshu back. What did she say to you? So mysterious. Fu Shizai evaded the question, indicating he didn't want to answer. Finally, he dropped him off at home. All right, seeing as you've had quite a bit to drink, go home and rest. As soon as he entered the door, he wearily sat down by the refrigerator to sober up. He placed a bottle of ice water directly on his head, his other hand hanging loosely. A moment later, he released the bottle and it rolled to the floor. Fu Shizai opened a box containing a model airplane. Holding the plane in his hand, he said sadly, "Happy birthday." He leaned against the refrigerator, his mind blank. He unconsciously recalled Yun Li's suggestion. If you have something you want someone to hear, but don't want anyone to know, you can tell my left ear. As she nervously watched, he calmly smoothed her hair and replied simply, okay. EAW, as always, was a beautiful morning. Yun Li arrived early in the morning, holding flyers and nibbling on bread in the break room. A headline caught her attention. EAW Tech City Halloween event featuring a plaza market. She thought, a market? It's bound to be super crowded. It's best not to get caught in that crowd. Suddenly, Fu Jianshu burst through the door, startling her. Yun Li quickly stood up to greet him. Good morning. He nodded slightly and softly replied, She thought sadly, although I didn't expect much of a reaction. This is practically like talking to a stranger. We were drinking and eating together yesterday. Fu Jianshu shook his coffee packet. She asked curiously, what's wrong? He said flatly, out of coffee beans. Yun Li tilted her head. Can you still make some? He replied casually, enough for about 1 cup. Fu Jianshu suddenly asked, want some? She widened her eyes and shook her head. No, thank you. An idea struck her, and she mustered the courage to speak up. There's a Halloween event at Haitian Shopping Center tonight. There will be a lot of stalls. He simply raised his eyes and replied briefly. Blushing, she suggested, I also want to buy some coffee beans, but I'm not very good at picking them. Could you go with me? He pressed the button on the coffee machine and asked him passively, what time tonight? She immediately replied, 8 o'clock. He unexpectedly agreed. She happily left. Then I'll go to work now. After returning to work, she was swamped. Teacher Yun, we're shorthanded in the experience zone. Could you come over and help? Oh, okay. Yun Li hurried to the EAW experience zone, where she ran into Fu Jianshu. He greeted her enthusiastically. Sisterly Li, are you here as reinforcement too? She froze for a few seconds. He ran towards her with an innocent look on his face. I heard there was an event tonight, so I wanted to come early this afternoon to take a look and grab some snacks, but I ended up being roped into working. Yun Li said dejectedly. Not surprised, I was also called in to help last minute. Suddenly, Fu Jianshu pointed excitedly, but I brought my uncle. Hearing this, her eyes widened, and Fu Shizai's handsome face quickly came into view. Fu Jianshu, beside her, continued chattering, and my uncle just sat there watching me work, not acting like an elder at all. She said seriously, you're old enough, you should help your elders share the burden. He sighed weakly and agreed, fine, I'll go back and help. Suddenly, she called out to him, Fu Jianshu, wait a minute, sorry. He tilted his head and asked, what's wrong? She covered her face in embarrassment. Last night, when we were drinking, I told your uncle that I think I like you. He finally understood, stroking his chin in realization. Sisterly Li, you like my uncle. No wonder you were speaking up for him just now. She awkwardly pleaded, can you keep this a secret for me? He readily agreed. Of course. Fu Jianshu said sincerely, Sisterly Li, my uncle's health isn't good. His stomach is weak too, but he's really a good person. I won't say more. Sisterly Li, good luck. She replied softly, thank you. And they started decorating. As she climbed down the ladder, a voice called out, Sisterly Li, come down. Fu Jianshu enthusiastically pushed him forward. I brought my uncle over. There's no reason for a girl to be climbing up and down while my uncle, a grown man, that just sits and watches. Before leaving, he winked. I'm going to work somewhere else. Yun Li lowered her head in embarrassment. Fu Jianshu was being a wingman. Thought a little too quickly. He extended his hand, still speaking indifferently. Give it to me. She came back to her senses and looked up. He took the ribbon. I'll help. She replied briefly. Okay. So, the two cooperated with each other to decorate. After working hard for a while, the last one was finally hung up. Her face lit up with happiness. Finished. The 3 letters EAW stood out, surrounded by stars and moons. Everything neatly decorated. Finally, the evening party began. Enley chose a youthful and beautiful outfit. When she saw him, she waved and called out. Over here, Fu Shizai appeared in a sharp black suit, his gaze fixed on her adoringly. Enley shyly lowered her head. I want to take some photos tonight, make a Halloween special. I haven't updated in a while. She mustered her courage and looked up, asking, do you think it looks good?